Welcome to Farm Charm Chic. I'm Emily. In today's episode, I have a Christmas mega video for you full of 50 Christmas DIYs that are under $5. If you like crafting, DIYs, dupes, hacks, thrift flips, or just creating in general, I would love if you would consider subscribing. If you do like any of the projects in this mega video, remember to hit that thumbs up, but let's get right into these DIYs. This next project is a Pinterest-inspired project that I saw somebody had built one, and I had out of like scrap wood for a tree, and I thought, oh, I have a Dollar Tree tree that would be perfect to do this. So I'm going to kind of walk you through the steps on this. So I just traced this Dollar Tree wood tree on some paper that had a really barnwood looking finish on it, and you can kind of see I just kind of cut it out there. And then I love Elmer's glue for projects like this. You guys have seen me use this dozens of times, if not more, and I just make sure to pay attention to the edges, so all of the edges will be down really good, and then I just go all over the surface of the tree, and then I just place this down and line it up as best as I can to make sure that no edges of the wood are showing. I just use my brayer here to make sure that it goes on completely flat. I personally like using this glue stick better than I like Mod Podge. I feel like I have a much higher success rate with it, and it is I've never had a problem with it peeling up as long as you're using the Elmer's purple glue. The Dollar Tree glue that I've seen that's like the Jot brand, I have not had as much success with that. So I just sanded the edges to make sure the paper was clear, but it did make the edge of the paper kind of look torn, or that white color. So I just went over the edge with a little antiquing wax, and while I was there, I just made sure to go over the back of it to give it a finished look. And then you can see I just put a little bit of glue into the little hole that was up there, and then to kind of fill it in, and then just put a little antiquing wax over it. So now I'm going to build a little box to go on the bottom of the tree here. So I just had this little square. They do sell little squares at Dollar Tree. This was just a scrap square that I had, and I cut some paint sticks down to be the size to go on the sides of this here. Now, if you wanted to skip this step, you could use just a little sign like that. They sell signs like that at Dollar Tree that you could use all day long and it would work just fine. I just didn't have one the exact size that I wanted, and so I thought I would just kind of make my own and show you. So I did just kind of eyeball when I cut these. I kind of laid it down on my painter stick and drew the line of where I needed to cut it. I actually, these little painter sticks were thin enough that I could cut them with my scissors, but you could use like a little hand saw, miter saw, or if you have a like power miter saw, that would work as well. So now I did just have to file down one of the sides because I didn't quite get the measurement right, so that's why I was using my emery board there to kind of sand it down. And then I just give this a coat of that antiquing wax because it matches that wood on the tree absolutely perfect, I thought, and I just cover all sides of it with that wax. So now I'm just going to take this tree and I'm going to add some glue to the spots where that box will touch. And that's how I am just going to put these two together here. And so I just press that box right up against the tree, and I'm going to make this a little candle stand. So I'm just showing you that you could just put a plain candle in there and embellish just a plain candle. That's one of the faux candles that I love from Amazon. I'll link those below in my description box. But I wanted to kind of make a little jar candle to put a little tea light down into. And this jar just came from Dollar Tree, and I just removed the lid, and I had some Dollar Tree ribbon I was showing you, but I have this ribbon that I have on my Christmas tree, and it kind of matches my decor a little bit more, and it just came from Hobby Lobby. So I'm just going to layer it with that red buffalo check on the bottom. And then actually this green ribbon, I believe, came from JoAnns. So I'm just letting you know that. But I love this green ribbon. It's not quite an evergreen. Like it's kind of like, I don't know. I just love the color of it. And so after I glue those two together, I'm just making a little sprig with some little pieces of picks that I have kind of disassembled. And I just wrap some twine around the top of those to get them all pieced together. And you could totally skip this step if you wanted to. That ribbon looks beautiful as it is. And using some twine that I tie on the top there, I'm just tying that little piece of evergreen on there, and then I will snip all of the tails off there because I decided I did not want any of that. And then I just kind of put a little glue on the back of that evergreen there so it would glue to the front and it stay put and wouldn't move around. And then I just made a little shoestring bow to go on this, and I thought that was so cute. You could leave it like this and it would be absolutely beautiful. But I did have these little stars from Dollar Tree, and I'm sorry that you can't see it right here. You'll see it in the finished product. But I just put one of those stars at the top of the Christmas tree, and then I thought this is some baker's twine that I have, and you can get this at Dollar Tree also. But I like to buy the red and white on Amazon because you can actually get more of it for a better deal than you get at Dollar Tree. The other colors you get at Dollar Tree are definitely a better value, but the red and white you can get a little bit cheaper other places. But I just wrapped it around the tree and then just tied it off. And that way I didn't have to glue it on. So if I wanted to remove it or I didn't love how it looked, I could do that. But look at how cute that is. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I absolutely love this. I did add a little tea light into that jar. You cannot see it in this photo, but it adds the most beautiful glow, especially with all those little ridges and marks in that jar from Dollar Tree. So if you find that jar, pick it up to do this project with because it's beautiful. For this DIY, I'm going to print on tissue paper, and these DIYs, when I do them, are so wildly popular, and I thought I would just show you maybe how to use it and make a quick gift idea. So I'm just taking some tissue paper here, and I'm just going to kind of spread it out, and then I'm going to tape it onto the back of this paper. Now, when I'm taping this down, I want to eventually, as I'm taping it as I go here, want to have every edge taped, or I want as little untaped as possible. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here and what I mean by that. So when I feed this through my printer, I don't want any of like the raw edges to catch or anything like that and tear the tissue paper. Now, I always get asked what type of printer I have. I have an inkjet printer. It is just a Hewlett Packard 3600 series printer. So it was just like an $80 printer from Walmart. Now just make sure you know which side of your paper is going to go into your printer so that way it prints on the correct side. So you just want to know which way to face this when you put it through your printer. Now at Walmart, they have these cute little wooden signs. They're a little less than Dollar Tree. The one downside to this is they staple that staple into where the little hanger goes, which does kind of add a little bit of blemish to the back. I made it the back of the my sign here, so I just had to sand that off because it was a little difficult to get off. So I paint this with some white chalk paint, and then I'm just going to take this sign here. Now this is what I printed out. I downloaded this off of Etsy. I will go ahead and leave a link to that. But you could use any image, even a picture of somebody that you have to print out. How cute would that be to do like a family picture of someone? So I just cut that out to the size, and I'm just going to use some Mod Podge here, and I just do a very, very thin layer of Mod Podge, and I just smooth that out because you don't want your tissue paper to get so wet that it's going to rip. So I just center that, and I just am lightly holding it over the top. And once I realize where I want it centered, I start working from the middle and just smoothing it with my finger towards the outside edge. So this is sped up a little bit, so I am moving a little bit slower than what it shows here, but you can see it's just smoothing it out with your finger. If you have any wrinkles, you can kind of lift your tissue paper up. If it starts to tear or like be tough to pull up, just stop, embrace those wrinkles, and they're just going to be there, and it's going to be fine. If it's dry enough, you can go ahead and use your brayer to flatten it out as well. Now, because of the nature of the edge of this sign that I wanted to leave, that is why I cut it with scissors, and then I sanded the edge of it to kind of get the raw edge off of it. You can use water to kind of tear out your designs. However, I wanted the edge left on there. I didn't want to have that torn edge on my sign this time. Now, I'm just using some antiquing wax and just going around the edge to kind of make it all look weathered, because my image that I got would not go directly to a 5x7 size. So I had a little bit of edge left on my sign. So I just covered that up by using some antiquing wax. Then I just took some thicker twine, tied it in a knot, and just used my staple gun to add a little hanger to it. I think this turns out absolutely darling. I mean, would you like to get this as a gift? I think it's so cute. I love it. I can't wait. I have somebody in mind that I'm going to give it to. I'm not going to say in case they watch this, but I just think this turns out absolutely darling and such a cute little idea. I've been seeing these windows a lot more at Dollar Tree. I keep hoping that they bring more and more different styles of them out because they're so fun to do DIYs with. This one is just kind of like a chipboard type material. In the springtime, I've seen like the plastic, almost like a frame type material, and they've had like the little words in the center of them. This is nice because it doesn't have any words in the middle. I don't have any glue I have to remove or anything. It just has that little sign at the bottom, which I am going to cover up. These tree ornaments all came from Hobby Lobby. The 2 white ones came in a pack of like 4 for just a couple of dollars, and the other one came from just the ornament section. But Dollar Tree does have the wooden cutout ones that you could easily use for this if you could find them. I just haven't been able to find any of those yet this year. Now, I have this wreath that came off of a garland that I had bought so I could cut all the little wreaths off of it. And but you could easily use, I showed you those little evergreen picks from Dollar Tree. You could use those to use for the wreath instead. Now, I'm just gluing those trees down. If you wanted to paint these a green color, or you wanted to put some scrapbook paper or something on them to give it a little bit more visual interest, go ahead and do that. Do what you have, what works for you. I just wanted this to kind of have more of a neutral color. I really love how this turns out, but I just glue those 2 on the side there so they're kind of covering that sign up there on the bottom. And then I'm just going to glue this in the middle. So I'm just kind of eyeballing where I want it to sit, and I do want this window to stand, so when I glue it on, I will kind of stand it up to make sure that all of the trees are flat and it's not going to be like front heavy and flip it over. And you can kind of see me doing that here. And then the one ornament does have the hole in the top, and I will cover that up with a cute little bow. Now, I'm just showing you here, if you wanted to glue some tumbling tower blocks onto the back to help that stand up, that would be an option for you, but I end up doing something else, but just showing you how that looks if you want to do that. Now look how cute that little wreath looks on this cute little window there. I got some buffalo check ribbon. I stuck with that neutral kind of farmhouse palette, and I just tied that in a little shoestring bow and put that right over the top of that. And I thought it would be fun to tie the wreath in with another bow as well. I do have a commenter every once in a while that asks me if I have to attach a bow to everything. Yes, I do. It's me. Do what works for you. If some berries would be really cute glued around that wreath, leave it plain, do a twine bow, whatever is your style, go ahead and do that. So I'm just gluing that wreath on there because I thought that looked really, really cute. And then I have this little riser that I made in one of my tiered tray videos. It's just a coaster with some little beads on the bottom of it for some little feet. And I'm going to affix this to the back of this because I want to use it to have a candle. Now, you could easily use one of these signs that like from Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby. If you don't want to make a riser, go ahead and paint it up and glue it onto the back, and it's going to work just fine. You could even just put a candle behind it, and I'm just showing you here the coaster. These came from Hobby Lobby, and I just put some plaster over the front of it to paint it. If you would like to do a candle just behind it, but I wanted the candle raised a little bit, but I set that coaster down and I put one of my favorite candles from Amazon, which I'll link below. These are just battery operated candles, and I just thought this was a darling little window with that little light shining behind it. This is going to be so elegant and beautiful, and not only is it great for Christmas, but it's going to be perfect for all winter long. I love doing DIYs that incorporate the true meaning of Christmas, and I'm going to use this little laser cut Nativity from Dollar Tree. They generally every year have something very similar to this that you can do this with. Now I'm taking this sign, this is from their summer line here, and I really like this seashell. So a true crafter, you know, you take things apart and think, oh, maybe I'll use this. So into my stash it went. But I'm taking this sign, and I love these square signs that they do this time of year. I'm just removing the little frame. Now the frame is in 4 separate pieces that you can see here, and I'm just using my putty knife to kind of slide under them to tear it off, because it is kind of, the adhesive that it uses is on like a paper that the sign is printed on. So you'll just have to rip that off and make sure that you have all clean edges for your frame. Now after I do that, I just am taking some scrapbook paper. I love this burlap, and so that's kind of the look I was going for. You can personalize this to anything you would like to use. And I'm just flipping this sign over, and I'll just trace along so I know kind of where to generally cut. Now I don't cut right on the line. I kind of cut a little bit to the side of it because I do want to sand it to get a really clean edge. And I'm using my most favorite glue. You guys have seen me use this so many times. This is the Purple Elmer School Glue, and I really have such great success with this and crafting. I don't ever have pieces that peel up or anything. And I just push this down, and then this is a really good trick to do when you're using your glue sticks, is to use a brayer like this. And this is going to make sure that you have a really good bond. It is going to get any bubbles or anything like that out. Now what I like to do with my scrapbook paper is I take my fingernail file here. I love to use fingernail files when I'm crafting because they get into all those little nooks and crannies. And I just sand in a downward motion away from the paper that I just glued on and get a nice crisp clean edge. You can see that paper peel right off there. It looks like that paper was meant to go on that surface. Now I'm choosing to paint my frame that goes around this picture black, and so I'm just painting all of the pieces that go to this frame here. I left the pieces of the frame in the order that they were, where they went on the sign, so that way I knew where to exactly glue them back on. So I'm just taking a couple pieces from this nativity. It does have the little wise men with it, and it has like a little stand that holds them up. I mean, it's absolutely darling. But I really just want Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus here, along with the little stable. I thought this was so cute. And we're going to use this. Now, I kind of had them set up like that, but I'll set them up a little bit different. You'll see on the surface how I end up doing it. I wanted them to be a dark color of the antiquing wax rather than using like a baby wipe like I normally do to just kind of lightly brush it on. So I really went thick with the antiquing wax on this to have that. I wanted a very natural wood look to it, but I did want it to contrast with what I'm doing. So I did a very heavy coat. Now, I just found this Joy to the World sheet music online. I just searched in Google Joy to the World sheet music, free, printable. Several came up, so you could do whatever hymn you wanted or whatever song for Christmas time or for whatever time of year you're doing a DIY like this. But it was totally free, and I am just tearing off the edges here, and we're going to age this paper. So when I go around the title, I definitely want you to see that title there, the Joy to the World. So I take my time going around that as I'm tearing this. Now I have this little kit. I've used it before. It helps with making like aged documents, aged papers. I don't know why I said documents, but you get my drift here. So it's just going to make this look really old. Now you could tea stain this. You could do several different processes. I just happen to have this kit for my scrapbooking days, and so I'm just using it. And you just kind of dip. It's like an ink, very light ink, and it's got this little dabber that you will dab in that, and then you just kind of rub and buff it on there, and it gets this nice aged look to the paper. Now, I didn't tear the bottom of my sheet music because I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to place it on my picture. So after I kind of used my stable there for some spacing, I decide exactly where I want to tear this, and then I will go and I do distress that edge too of the paper. So now to make it look really old, I'm just crumpling it up just as if it was garbage or something here. You just want to make sure to get lots of wrinkles in it, and then just lightly, just be careful not to tear it as you're undoing this. I mean, I guess some tears would look okay, but you just want to have it mostly intact here. And then I'm taking a little bit of this ink and I'm just rubbing it directly over very lightly, and it hits each of those little wrinkles and it just makes them pop with a little bit of texture and definition. Now, to make this like more sturdy and it's not going to have water that ruins it or anything, I do put a coat of Mod Podge both on the front and the back. And I'm using my favorite school glue here again and just placing this on there. Now, you could easily, mine goes over down to the edge. You could center this to be completely in the center if you would like. There are so many different ways and things you could do this. I do use my brayer here to make sure that all of the wrinkled paper gets put down. You want to make sure you have a good bond and it's not going to peel back or fall off. And then just using hot glue, I just carefully piece all of the frame pieces back and hot glue those just to make sure that they're all where they were. Now I'm going to place my stable and my nativity here. And before I glue them down, I just kind of play around, and this is when I decide to put Mary and Joseph on the side of the stable, just because I didn't feel like you could see them super well if they were placed on the stable, and with the spacing of the frame that I was using, I thought they would look cute kind of on the side there. So that's why I decided to do that. But I'm just using some of this, I think it's Aleen's tacky glue. You get it at Dollar Tree, and I've heard a lot of crafters use it. This is actually the first time that I've used it, and it holds pretty well. I just didn't want hot glue, and I didn't have any super glue close by, so I went ahead and used that. Now, I do want to put a beaded handle back on this like it originally came, the sign. So I'm just taking some wood beads and I am staining them with just some antiquing wax, and I'll just thread them onto some twine. And then all I will do after I thread these is just tie it on to the top of the frame. So I just push that. When I put my frame on, I made sure to line the holes up that were originally there from the little shore sign with the seashell, and so I just tuck that through, and then I just tie it on either side of this sign. That way, if you decide you want to hang this, you definitely can. If you want to leave it and not mess around with putting anything on the top, or just put some twine or some beautiful ribbon or something, that would be completely up to you. Personalize it any way that you would like. I just love incorporating the true meaning of Christmas into the Christmas DIYs, and I thought that I would definitely take an opportunity right now to do that. I love the simplicity of this. I love this Christmas hymn. I love the rustic way that this looks, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful in my home for Christmas. This is a true trash to treasure. Now, I love Stephen's hot chocolate, and I have this tin that was in my Christmas decor DIY box when I pulled this out to do this video, and I was like, let's do something with this. I've done a couple with little tins like this before, and you guys have really loved them because it is something that most people have. I mean, you could even just use a tin can to do this DIY. You could even use a little planter bucket from Dollar Tree. So I'm just giving it a really good coat of white paint. Now, if you're using like a hot chocolate tin like this, the label peeled off, revealing this background here. And that's what I did because I didn't want that label to bubble up. And once the paint would have hit that, that's exactly what it would have done. So if you have a label on your surface, just try and peel that off if you can. After I gave this a couple good coats of white paint, I've decided to do some stripes on here. You guys know how much I love doing stripes on my DIYs. And so I just am putting 3 different stripes on here. So I'll have 3 white stripes. And then I originally was going to do red and white. I was thinking, like a candy cane for Christmas time. However, when I went to go pick out my red, I saw this green. This is the Sage color by Folk Art Chalk Paint. And I saw this color and thought, this actually would be really cute and something more different because you do see a lot of red and white for Christmas DIYs, and so I thought this green and white would be really cute. And also the green and white would be really good for year-round, so you could change this out if you decided to keep this, to change the floral arrangement out. For spring would be really cute, some spring florals in here. Anyhow, I give a couple really good coats of the green paint, making sure it dries thoroughly in between each coat. And then you guys know how I absolutely love to distress everything, especially when I do stripes on things. There is just something to me about sanding these down and wearing them a little bit to give them that worn, aged look. I love pieces that look like they have a history, they could tell stories, and that's exactly what I do with this. I just take my fingernail file and I file it really good to give a really good worn look. I don't go too overboard, but enough that it definitely looks a little bit worn. Now, I have yet to find a decent way to show you guys a good angle of me doing floral arranging, so if this is kind of not the best angle, I apologize. But I want you guys to know that all I did was just take some leftover florals that I had from last year's Christmas DIYs to make this, and I just kind of haphazardly stuck things in. I mean, I tried to make it look nice, and I tried to make it be as symmetrical as I could and have it be very pleasing to the eye. I am not a professional florist at all, so again, it's just what feels good to me, but in the end I think it ends up turning out beautifully, and I'm excited to have this tin. Again, it's something that I could use year round, but where it's that green and that white, and I feel like using the red berries, it really does just pop and give a very wintry Christmas look. Do you guys like how this one turned out? I think these little cutting boards that you're finding at Dollar Tree right now are absolutely adorable. These are found in their crafters corner, kind of in the unfinished wood stuff that they have. I've seen them at my Dollar Tree several times. Actually, a few of the Dollar Trees that I have been to over the last few months, I've seen them. So hopefully you've been able to find them at yours. If not, I always just tell people, just keep checking. They'll eventually come. And always check dollartree.com also. But remember on dollartree.com to ship to your store. It saves you a lot of money instead of having to pay shipping to your home. Now, that being said, all I'm doing on this is I just paint the bottom portion white and I go up the handle just a little bit, and then I'm painting the rest of the handle here with black. And the black covers really good. This is just chalkboard paint. I only needed to do 1 coat on that. The white I did have to do 2 coats. And then I'm just taking a paint stir stick. This is one that I had used. I'd cut the end off for another project. I just cut it down and I just eyeballed the size. I'm making this cute little snowman, and I just wanted this to be kind of the brim of his hat. And so I just eyeballed it. I don't have an exact measurement on what I did. I just laid it down and kind of went, that looks like a good size, and that's where I cut it. So I just kind of wanted a little ski wampus there. I thought that looked kind of cute there, and just using some hot glue, I put that down on the cutting board itself, and then I just glue that little brim of his hat right down there. And you can kind of see it coming together hopefully already. And I did just get a little bit of smudging on that black, so I just kind of went over it with a little what was left on the brush there to cover that up. Now I have these half beads. These came from Amazon. I can link them down in my description box below. And these are just kind of a smaller size, and I thought they would be really cute to kind of look like pieces of coal for his eyes and his mouth. So I'm just going over them with some black paint and just making sure I get all of the edges and everything. And then on another paint stir stick, I am just cutting out a carrot nose, and I'm just kind of going from the end and cutting in towards the center at an angle, just like the shape of a carrot. And it just cut very easily with my scissors, and I was able to get that shape out. And then I did go in and sand it a lot with my emery board to get rid of any rough edges or anything like that. Next, I just glue with some hot glue the eyes and the mouth on, and I just kind of space them out just by eyeballing it. And on this cute little carrot nose, I'm just using some orange paint to give it that carrot color. And then after I get that completely covered, I want to make some little ridges on the carrot just to make it, give a little dimension, make it look like an actual carrot. This is just some mineral chalk paint that I'm using with just a little flat brush here. And you just kind of, just what looks good is what I'm doing. You could completely skip this if you were a little bit afraid to kind of go in or do this, and I do like a couple and then a grouping of 3 and just kind of offset them all the way down the edge of the carrot. Now after that completely dries, I go back in with a little bit more orange paint and just kind of cover them to dull them down so they're not quite so stark, and that way they look a little bit more like they're part of the carrot, if that makes sense. I don't know. I always say if that makes sense, but hopefully you can see what I'm showing there. Sometimes I can't find the exact words that I want to use. And then I'm just going to use some hot glue on the back of this carrot, and we're going to glue it onto the face of our snowman. This cute little wooden snowflake came from a pack of wooden stickers from Dollar Tree. I just cover it with some white chalk paint, and then after that dries, put some Mod Podge on it, and I put a little bit of glitter on there. I just thought that would be kind of a fun little thing for this little snowman's hat to have a shiny little snowflake there. This little piece of holly came from a pack of 12 from Hobby Lobby, and then I glue that on, and then I glue this cute little snowflake on the brim of his hat, and I thought that was just the perfect little embellishment. I just think this little snowman turns out absolutely adorable. He would be perfect for a tiered tray or just anywhere you wanted this cute little snowman to smile back at you. So last month I was on a little trip with my daughter, and we decided to visit their Dollar Tree, and I found this cute little sign blank. I've never seen these at my Dollar Tree, so hopefully they're going to be coming into all Dollar Trees, or you'll be able to find some. If not, just use whatever sign blank that you have, or even just a piece of wood with some scrapbook paper on it would be really cute. Now I have these little Believe wood cutouts that I got at Dollar Tree, and they come in a pack of 2. I'm just going to use 1, and I just paint it red because I thought that would look really cute. You could leave it even just unpainted, and that would be cute as well. Now I'm taking some white paint and dry brushing over it because I wanted it to have kind of a little frosty look. So it's just up to you on if that's your style or not. And then I'm just going to center this as best as I can. The little faux shiplap was not exactly straight on this picture, so I just kind of did my best to make it all look like it lined up pretty good. The type of glue I'm using is just kind of like a type of super glue. It's the DAP brand that comes from Lowe's, and I do really like this. I don't love using hot glue for projects with letters like this because I feel like the glue dries before you get it on there, and it doesn't get quite as snug of fit as I like. So that's just a little tip there if you want to use that. Like Aleene's tacky glue would work just fine as well. Now I have these little glass ornaments that have just kind of been sitting in my stash for a couple of years, and I haven't really known what to do with them, but I thought that they looked really cute hanging on the side of this sign. Had I had jingle bells, I probably would have done that because I think jingle bells would be so cute with the word believe there and the little sleigh bells. But I didn't have any, so this was the closest thing. So if you have jingle bells, you could definitely use those, or nothing at all would be fine too, just leaving it plain and simple. And I just wrapped that bow around my hand a couple of times, the twine, to make that cute little bow. I think this turns out so cute. I think that this would make a perfect little gift for somebody. It took me less than 10 minutes to make this, so it's a fairly quick project if you have all of the items, or if you see things like this at Dollar Tree, just snag them up because it makes such a cute little sign. I'm so excited to show you this DIY. It's almost like 4 DIYs in one, but I love how this turns out. So this cute little sign I found just recently, like this last week at Dollar Tree. It's a cute little laundry sign, and I loved that it had the little pegs on it. And I knew immediately what I wanted to do with it when I saw it. So I just sprayed some water on it, and I'm just using my putty knife to scrape off that glue. It may take you a few minutes to get all of that scraped off, but it worked better to scrape it than to sand it, in my opinion. Once that dries, I just take a little bit of white chalk paint on a chip brush, and I'm just dry brushing this on. I just really wanted a nice faded look to it. So you can paint it a different color if you want, or whatever you want to do with it, but that's the style that I was going for. Now I'm taking a sleigh from Dollar Tree. I'm actually going to do 3 different sleighs here in this DIY. This first one, I'm going to paint the base of the sleigh here, the part that you would write on, white, and then I'm going to paint the bottom part of the sleigh here just in black, just doing a traditional farmhouse palette. And each of the sleighs that I'm doing are each a different type of sleigh also. So if you can find a variation, do that, or whatever works, or whatever you've got on hand. Now I'm taking some foam core board, and I want a wreath to go on one of my sleighs, and so I didn't have a wreath small enough because these sleighs are kind of teeny, so I just thought I would make my own. The greenery here is just off of the boxwood picks that you pick up at Walmart. I love those boxwood picks. You can use them all year, and I feel like you can get so many projects out of them. So definitely when you're at Walmart, look at their florals and pick a couple of those up. You will not regret it. So now I just cut off the littlest, teeniest size of the leaves that I could, and I just glue them all the way around and fill in all the gaps and everything so you cannot see that. And you could use cardboard if you don't have foam core board, something like that. And now I'm just taking some little teeny tiny red berries. This is also off of a pick that I got at Walmart, and I just glued those all the way around, just kind of to bring in a little pop of color into that. So now moving on to our second sleigh, I am going to stain with just my Waverly antiquing wax the portion of the sleigh that you would sit on here, like the base of that, and then on the bottom, and the name escapes me of what these would be called, like the blades of the sleigh maybe. I'm painting those black, and then I will stipple on some metallic here, silver, because I wanted this to look like maybe it was aged metal, was kind of what I was going for, and so I just went all the way around to do that. This cute little deer ornament came from Dollar Tree. It came like 2 to a pack, so I just took this and put a decent amount of hot glue and just held that down till it was completely dry. I wanted this sleigh to look like it had a little bit of snow on it, so I'm just putting some white chalk paint on a chip brush, and I'm just dabbing that up and down. And after I did this, and I'm just doing it kind of as if the sleigh was propped up against something where the snow would naturally fall, and I decided that the white paint wasn't cutting it, so I take a little Mod Podge, I do the same thing over the paint, and then I'm just going to take some glitter, and this would be completely optional. I know some people do not like glitter, but I just thought that it added a little something to this sleigh, and I just sprinkled that glitter over the top of this where that Mod Podge is, and I just shake that off, and I just think that adds the perfect touch of snow on there. And then you just kind of, when you can see I pull it upside down and I just tap it all off to get that off of there. And I just thought it looked so cute. So now I'm taking the third sleigh here, and I wanted to do this in a traditional like brown and red metal type of sleigh look here. So the base of the sleigh on these, I'm just taking some red paint, and I will get that on the sides here all over the bottom there. And then I'll also do that on like the crossbar, and you'll see how I do that here in just a second. You can see over there. And I just thought that would be really cute. In my mind, that's where the red part of the sleigh would be. And then I just use antiquing wax to do the rest of it. And so that's how that goes. And for some reason in my mind, that little piece, it was like a piece of wood that would be going up that metal would fasten to. So that's why I chose to do that. So anyway, I just went ahead around with my little emery board and distressed it so it looked like an aged sleigh. And then I even had like a little bit of black paint on a baby wipe there that I went over where I sanded to kind of give it more of an aged and an older look. I picked up this little Christmas tree. This came from like the little village section that Dollar Tree always has, and I just thought it would be really cute to have this tied onto this sleigh, like somebody's bringing their Christmas tree home for Christmas to decorate it. And I'm just kind of pushing the bristles. It's like a bottle brush, so I'm pushing those bristles out so that way it will lay a little bit flatter against my sleigh. And then I'm just using hot glue. I did take off the snow base of that because it didn't look very realistic, if you will, on there. So I just wrapped the base in some twine to kind of look like the trunk of the tree, and then I glued that on, and I decided to glue it on upside down, like that was how they had placed it, like it had just kind of fallen over on the sleigh, and I tied it down with some twine to look like the tree was tied down with rope, and just put a little teeny bow on the top of that. So now you can see I have this little wreath I'm going to put onto this sleigh, and I had this little ornament that came from Walmart. Dollar Tree has some cute little ornaments too that would be darling on there, or you wouldn't have to do one at all. I just really like the fact that it had a cute little thing on there to say sleigh ride, since I'm kind of going with the sleigh theme on here. And here's all three of these sleighs together. I just think they all turned out so cute. They were so fun to create. So now I'm going back to the base of the sign because we're going to let everybody know that they can park their sleighs here. So I'm just taping some tissue paper to just a regular piece of copy paper. And you just want to make sure that this it's like the dull side is what's up. So there's a shiny side and a dull side to tissue paper. I put the shiny side towards the paper because I want the ink to go onto the dull side of the paper. Now I just fed this through my printer like a piece of paper. I just found some script and wrote this in Word, put it through. I have an inkjet printer, not a laser printer. I just make sure that that ink is very, very dry before I put any Mod Podge. And you can see how the ink kind of bleeds through onto the paper. Now I'm taking a little brush with some water on it, and I'm just going around the parking, the sleigh parking, and just ripping that. This will give it a natural edge rather than a cut edge, and that way when you Mod Podge this down, it will kind of disappear into the background. So I just do a thin layer of Mod Podge, and I'm having a very hard time holding onto the sign, but I want to do this all over. So when you do this, make sure the Mod Podge goes all over, not just where your words go, because you want the sheen and the finish to look cohesive. And then I just did my best to eyeball how I wanted that centered. And then I work from the middle out with just dabbing my finger and making sure there are no wrinkles or anything. And I just kind of go up to the edge, and then you can kind of say I pull it taut there, and then keep doing that. And if your tissue paper will allow you to kind of pick it up if you get a wrinkle or two, do it. But if you feel that it's going to start to tear, just embrace the wrinkles and just let it be a part of the sign. So I take a little bit of Mod Podge and I go over the edge, not over the ink. I'm just going over the edge. Now, if this had dried for several days, I could probably go over the ink and be fine, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to seal this instead. I have this clear glaze Krylon, and I'm just going to spray this over the top. And I just make sure this goes all over to give the same sheen, and just a little spritz on there, and then I let that dry completely. Then after that's dry, I just take a little bit of white paint, and on my little brush, just very lightly dry brush over the letters to make it blend into the background of that sign. I just think that is super cute. I'll link the font name if I can down in my description box. And then I stained those cute little pegs, and I just screwed those back on and hung these little sleighs from it. And you guys, I think this turned out this might be one of my favorite Christmas crafts ever. It's so cute. It was so fun. You can personalize it. You could have all of like your kids or your grandkids decorate a cute little sleigh to hang from it. So next time you're at Dollar Tree, pick up one of those laundry signs and look for some cute little sleighs, or even if you had different ornaments you wanted to decorate and hang from it. It would be so cute. I love this adorable sign at Walmart that says Santa Stop Here. It's little, it's cute, it's perfect for a tiered tray or something, and I just thought it was darling. And last time I was at Dollar Tree, I picked up this little round sign, and I thought this would be the perfect dupe. So I'm first just giving this a coat of red chalk paint here. I quickly realized you can still see those letters through there, so I'm painting a layer of white over to act as a primer to give a little bit better coverage. I did have someone leave me a tip to try to do gray paint when you're painting red over it, so I'm going to try that next time. That's a great tip, so I'm definitely going to give that a try. But you can see that red paint when it goes on, it gives me much better coverage, and you can't see the words underneath there at all. Now, if you did want to spray paint this, you might be able to do that and get a little bit more even coverage or a little bit more of a shimmer to it, so that is an option as well if your weather allows you to do so. Now, the one at Walmart had this cute little topper on it, and the one from Dollar Tree did not. So all I did to fix that problem is I just grabbed one of the little barbecue skewers and then a little teeny finial. I get the finials at Hobby Lobby. I can leave a link to the ones on Amazon, but they come in a pack of like 5 or 10 or so, and they're perfect for adding like feet onto little risers or things, but it was the perfect little finial for the top of this sign. So I just used a little bit of my strong like super glue there to adhere that on. I thought that would work a little bit better than hot glue since it is metal and wood that I'm working with. And then I had painted it white before. and I thought that added just the perfect little touch to the top of the sign. I went on Cricut Design Space and found a couple fonts that matched pretty close to what the original inspiration piece had, and I just went ahead and did the Santa stop here. And then I also added a couple of little asterisks and little dots on there, just like the inspiration piece had. I tried to match it as close as I could, and I think that it turns out super cute. This would be perfect if you have like an elf that visits your home at Christmas time, to make sure that your little elf knew exactly where you wanted Santa to stop. It would be perfect for a tiered tray. I think this turned out so cute, and it came from Dollar Tree. And I don't recall exactly how much the one at Walmart was, but I think I did a pretty good job recreating it. What do you guys think? I'm just taking this cute little chalkboard sign from Dollar Tree. It's got that darling little buffalo check fabric on the back, and then the front portion is just a chalkboard. And then I also have this little truck ornament that came from Dollar Tree. They've had these the last couple of years, so hopefully you can find some. But I just used some wire cutters to cut off the portion that says Merry Christmas. I'll probably just save that for another DIY. I just want the truck for this. Now I'm just taking my putty knife and I am gently going underneath this chalkboard portion here. I'm doing this very slowly. It is sped up a little bit because I just want to make sure that it doesn't break or rip or anything like that. I will be placing it back on, so the fact that you can see that little glue strip on there does not make a difference at all. Now I take 2 of these evergreen picks from Dollar Tree. They come in like a pack of 12. I've seen them at Dollar General. I believe I've seen them at Walmart. So hopefully you can find some at one of these stores or have some in your stash, or you can even just like dismantle like a garland or something like that to have some. So I just wrap 2 together and make an oval shape, and I just keep matching it up to the size of my chalkboard so you can see enough of it around the edges. And then I did take my scissors and kind of give it a little trim around the edges so that way it wasn't, I don't know, I think it just makes it look a little bit better if you trim a little bit of it off so it doesn't look so shaggy. So I did that. Now I have, these are from Walmart, and I think it's called like a winter cedar berry or juniper berry or something like that. I found it in their floral section, but it has these little teeny tiny red berries on it, and I think they're so cute. And I just kind of picked a little bit of the ends off of each of one of them, and then I'm just gluing it around kind of in an oval motion so that way they all kind of face the same direction. I thought that looked really cute with that evergreen pick. It kind of helps lift it up off of there. And then I'm just putting some hot glue around the ring on the back of this, and you'll see here I just carefully place that on. Now you can kind of see, if you can, I don't know, but I glue it on upside down when I go to put my chalkboard on because the holes that hang my sign up are facing the bottom right now, where they really need to be facing the top. Anyhow, you'll see me fix that in a minute here. But I just go around anywhere that my little cedar berries are sticking up, or I want them to stick down more, then I just use my hot glue to help hold those down. Now I take 4 tumbling tower blocks and glue 2 together, and then the 2 on top of each other, if that looks okay there, and then I glue that down on top. This is going to help give that 3-dimensional look. It helps pop out that chalkboard sign. So now I just match up where I want that truck, and I just use some hot glue around the edges there, and then I just eyeball it. Well, you can see I'm going to drop it first and then I eyeball it and get it all where I want. Now you can use any one of these for a hanger. You can see I'm just this came from Hobby Lobby, but maybe it came from Walmart. I'm not really sure. I'll have to look down in my description box and I'll let you know, because I can't recall right now where I picked this up from. But I do love the green and the red on there. It did come from Walmart. It's just coming to me now that I remember actually picking it up there. So Walmart is where I got this. Now, you can find the pitberry at the Dollar Tree too and use that totally fine. Just putting back the twine hanger on here will be fine also. Now you can see that I realize now, like, oh, whoops, I put this on backwards. So I just stick my putty knife up underneath that tumbling tower block and where the glue was. The glue had dried pretty good at this point, but I was able to get it off. And I'll just stick some glue on it and flip it around. So, you know, no harm, no foul. It looks totally fine. Now, after I get this centered and put down in the correct place that I want it, I will just thread this little pitberry garland through one side and then just twist it around, so that's what's going to help it stay. Now, if you do plan on hanging this somewhere that it's going to get a lot of wind or anything, this wire will stretch and get longer and longer. So you may want to use some twine in that case, but I just thought this was really cute. It's just going to hang maybe on my pantry door or just like layered on another wreath or something. But I think for a cute little design, this turned out so cute. What do you guys think of this one? Do you like it? This project is a little out of my element here, but I had so much fun creating it. I'm just taking the scrapbook paper package that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I believe I've seen some at Walmart as well. I'm sure a lot of craft stores have them. It just came with a bunch of different embellishments, and I have this little galvanized tin envelope that I got at Dollar Tree, and all I did was just trace out on some scrapbook paper. I just have some fun Christmas plaid scrapbook paper. You don't really see it a whole lot in the back when I get done, but you definitely want it to cover up whatever design is on here. So I'm just using some good old trusty Elmer school glue. You guys know that I love this glue so much, and I'm just going to place that paper down there, and of course I cut it as close to the size that I could so that way it all matches up. But if you need to take a fingernail file along the edges to make sure that you get it sanded off and get everything looking exact and perfect, I recommend doing that. Now I have some cute little trees here. These also came from Dollar Tree, and then just a bunch of other Christmas florals that I have that I just cut some little pieces off of. You just need a little bit to do this little project. And I kind of wanted to be a little whimsical and just make a really cute winter or Christmassy scene. I just thought this was just fun, and for some reason it was just speaking to me. And I have all these little cutouts. You can see all these fun little embellishments that come here. So you can be creative. You could definitely cut your own out. You could use gift tags that you might have. Look at your gift wrapping. You might have some fun things to use there. But all of these came in this cute little set that I got. Of course, like the florals didn't, but all the little cutouts that I'm using, the little die cuts. And you could probably even purchase just some die cuts online if you wanted to. But I'm just doing that cute little label on the envelope there. I thought that was so cute. And I did kind of a dry fit before I started gluing things in, just to kind of get an idea of how things looked, and I kind of knew which pieces I wanted to use. So I recommend doing that, and then when you're kind of ready to go and you're ready to cement it all in, so to speak, then you can start gluing it in. So I have these darling little pieces of greenery that have these little red berries on them. It's like a cedar tree berry or something that I picked up at Walmart last Christmas, and I absolutely love using them. So when there's Christmas florals start to come out, I'm definitely going to check for those, because I think I used every single bit of those that I had. And then you can see I'm just fitting everything in, just a little bit of glue. You could probably even use some other type of like tacky glue or something like that if you didn't want to use hot glue, but I felt like the hot glue works totally fine. And I even grabbed some of these are the evergreen sprigs that you get in a pack of like 12 at Dollar Tree. I cut a couple in half to put in just to look like some extra little trees. I was going for a lot of different textures and a lot of different visually interesting differences, so it wasn't all the same greenery in there. And I just thought these cutouts were just really cute. And even some little like berries you can see there that I decided to put in. I thought that kind of added a little bit of a different pop to it, and I really liked the way that those looked as well. It was just so fun coming up with a little scene, and honestly, you can take these envelopes. I think I got this at fall time last year at Dollar Tree, but you could do a scene for any time of year using these same techniques. So it wouldn't have to just be Christmas that you did. If you wanted to do, a cute little 4th of July one or a cute fall one, even just make it specifically winter, not Christmas. I mean, so many endless possibilities. Now, I did just glue on a little tie here. I just took some twine and made that so I could hang this even off of like a cute little shelf or something. I think this scene turned out really cute. You could even put some Jenga blocks on the back of it to have it stand up, so that way you could display it like this. But I just think this is so fun and whimsical and just very cute, and such a fun and easy project for a crafter at any level. I love picking up signs like this at the craft stores. These particular ones came from Dollar Tree. It doesn't ever matter what they say because I'm always going to make them over. So I just peeled the paper back, and it leaves a little bit of this backing that's been glued onto this. And these are not the wood signs from Dollar Tree. These are more like of a composite material. So I just spray them with water and let them soak for a few moments. And then you'll see that this just peels right off. And even though like the top layer kind of peels off, as you can see here, if you spray it again and let it sit for just maybe another minute, you'll be able to take your scraper, and as you see, it will just scrape right off of there. It's kind of actually pretty satisfying getting all of that off of there. It is a little bit sticky with the glue, so you do just want to wash your hands after so you don't get glue on everything. The shortest of these signs was about 10 inches, and I'm going to leave that as is. I won't be cutting that one. It will be the bottom of my stack here. The next one I will cut down to 8 inches, and then I cut one down to 6 inches. And then that left a little piece off of the one that I end up putting on the top that is 4 inches. So I just go down 2 inches on each. So there's, if that makes sense, hopefully you can see there's an inch on each side. Now my top 2 tiers of this little snowman stack that I am making, I will paint black. This is going to be the hat portion of my snowman, and I'm just using some chalkboard paint from Dollar Tree. One coat did very good coverage on these, so I didn't have to do that. I'm just using some white chalk paint here on the bottom 2 stacks. It did take about 3 coats to get the coverage that I wanted. Now I just need to glue my little snowman face together here, so I'm just using a combination of E6000, super glue would work too. You could probably even just do hot glue, since this won't be getting probably a lot of use other than just sitting on a shelf. I just thought I would make it a little bit more of a permanent hold if it fell over or anything. I don't know. I just thought the E6000 added a little bit of an extra bond on there. So that's up to you. I know a lot of people comment that they cannot stand the smell of E6000, which it definitely has an odor, but it doesn't bother me too much. Anyhow, I'm just gluing this all together here, each stack, just making sure that I get it so it's all even. And then I have these little wooden discs. I got this in a package. I bought like a big box of craft material at a yard sale. However, be creative. If you find something like bingo chips or something like that at the Dollar Tree, use something like that. You could even just use wooden half beads or something if you happen to have those. Be creative. Anything will work. Now I'm just taking a paint stir stick, and I am just using my scissors to cut out a carrot nose, just kind of a triangle shape. And as you saw, my scissors cut through there pretty decently, and so I was able to get that shape, very rustic look, which is what I was going for. I'm going to paint my carrot orange, and then I am going to paint some little teeny ridges on my carrot there to kind of give it a little bit of dimension. Now after I dry those, I go back over with the orange paint to kind of make them look a little bit faded, so that way they weren't so stark and obvious. Now I just go back in, and I'm just using some hot glue to glue on the eyes and the mouth. I like to lay it out before I glue it, so I have an idea of where I'm going and make sure everything is spaced right and looks good. And then again, this part I just do with hot glue, and it goes rather quickly. So now I just position the nose. I put a little bit of glue along the nose on the back. I did not want that nose to hang over the edge, so I put it right up to the edge there, but I didn't want it to like get broken off. But that's just up to you. If you want to have it hanging over the edge, that would be really cute as well. So now we're just going to tuck some little foliage into this snowman's cute little hat here. And I'm just using a combination of like little spare parts, if you will, that I have from different picks. So I have like some lamb's ear. There's a little bit of the boxwood. Those both came from Walmart. These berry picks came from Dollar Tree. And then I have this little evergreen that I think it came on a plant that my mom gave me. I don't know. It came from somewhere, but I just got a bunch of little things. When you're doing a little hat like this that you want some variety, you don't have to have like one whole pick. Just use your spare parts, what you've got, and that works great. And I decided to have some glued kind of up towards the top of his hat and some kind of coming down. So when I put that ribbon band on, it looks like some peeking out below. And I just used some hot glue to put that on the back. This ribbon just came from Dollar Tree. I love this cute little gingham ribbon. And as you see, I'm just going to flatten that down on the back there. Now I'm going to do a cute little bow here. I just tied a couple loops on a little bow there and put a zip tie in the middle to put on his hat. And I thought that bow looked really cute. Now, of course, if a bow is not your style, do not put a bow on there. I had someone comment in my last video that asked if I had to put a bow on everything. Yes, I do have to put a bow on everything because that's what I like. It might be impossible for me to not put one on there. If it's not your style and you're making this, please make it to how you like it. Now, I'm just taking a little bit of the leftover black paint in my brush and just kind of dry brushing the edges. I wanted to give this a little bit of dimension, and I really liked the way that it looked on the nose to kind of help that pop. Now you can go as light or as heavy as you like on this. I don't really consider this like distressing. I feel like this is just more giving it a little bit of dimension. It looked kind of flat with just the white paint there. And then here I take the white that's left over in my brush, and I'm going to go over all of the black parts here. So just over the edges of his hat. Kind of looked a little bit like it was frosted there. And then then I really like the look going over the little round discs here. It really did make those pop against that black against the white there, the edges. It just kind of gave it just a really good dimension, and I really loved it. I think this turns out absolutely darling. What do you guys think of him? Would you put him on one of your shelves for this Christmas season? I just love him, and I really feel like snowmen are just the essence of winter and Christmas, and it is something that you can make as Christmassy as you want, but they can also stay up all winter long. I found this darling snowflake at Walmart. I loved the beadwork on it, and it was like $3 or something, I think that said there, and I picked it up because I wanted to recreate it. I wanted to make my own, and it's very simple, and I'm excited to show you guys. So you're going to need 24 beads total, 12 of each size. I did, and I think these are like a 1 millimeter and then like a 1/4 millimeter maybe. They're just the ones from Dollar Tree, the smaller ones, and the other ones are off a beaded garland from Hobby Lobby. So whatever beads you have will work. You just need to have 2 different sizes to have the contrast. And then I just cut my wire down, and this is a little bit of a stiffer wire. I cut them down to 7 inches, and then I use this technique of putting a little bit of paint and some water into a little dish, and then I just swirl the beads around to get the color that I want. It did take me a couple of times, like a couple coats of letting the beads dry, putting them back in to get the desired color that I wanted, but I can't go out and spray paint right now because of the weather is too cold at my house. So this worked really, really well. So all I'm doing is just stringing these beads on, and I'm following the pattern of the one from Walmart, which it went like little, big, and then you have the space in the middle. So it goes backwards, big, little, as you can see here. And then I'm kind of, I cut a little bit off to make the length because it was a little too long, and then I just twisted that edge around with some little pliers. Now you could use like jewelry pliers if you had them. I'm using just regular little pliers, crafting pliers that I have. Now once I get all 3 of these little pieces made, this is what's going to make the 6 pieces of our little stems of our snowflake. I had this little wooden piece there that I painted white, and I just hot glued those on. Now I lost some footage, you guys, and so I apologize. I'm going to make another one to show you again because I know that there was, I just felt like I needed to show you guys again. So I decided to make one with natural colored beads this time. So I have my pieces of wire cut there, and I did have to use a little bit stronger wire cutter to cut through that wire. And I don't know what gauge of wire this is. It's honestly just wire that I picked up from our farm that we use for fencing. So you find it in fencing at a farm store. And then I'm just doing that same pattern of the little, big, and then when you get to the middle, you reverse the pattern going out, so big, little, and so that way it's the same, moving from the outwards into the center. And then you can see I just curve around that edge on the wire, and then you can kind of straighten it out if you need to. You can clamp it together however you need to. You just want to make sure that you have that little gap in the middle. Now I decided on this one to tie it with a little bit of string. This is just cotton string from Dollar Tree, and I just go between each of the little areas there, each little piece of my strand of my snowflake, if you will, and I go ahead and tie that as I'm going around. That's just giving it a little bit of extra security there. And then I'll do the same thing. I have that little wood piece. You can get them at Hobby Lobby in the wood section, and I just left it natural color on this one. And then I have this cute little jingle bell. I decided to do a green one on this one, and just using some hot glue, I glued that in the center there. Now the one from Walmart had a cute little bow on it, so of course I added a bow because yes, I do have to add a bow to everything. And I do put a little bit of hot glue between that bead and the next bead so the bead doesn't spin around with the bow on it. It kind of faces forward, and you can see how both of them look there. I decided to put them, I couldn't get them to stand up any other way, guys, so I decided to put them in my little cute car here. But I think these turned out so cute. It's fun to be able to know how to do this. That way I can make any color that I want. I think that red and white one matches the Walmart one very closely, but again, I can customize it to however I want. This is just one of those chalkboard little stand frames that you get at Dollar Tree. It has a little piece on the back to help it stand up. And I'm going to paint the frame. So I'm just using some painter's tape to go around the inside of this because I want to make sure the inside of the frame is painted, but I do not want to deal with scratching paint off of the chalkboard surface itself. So I just make sure I line all of that up exactly how I want. And I'm going to go with just a classic red. I am using chalk paint, but acrylic paint, whatever paint you have, whatever color you want to do, will work just fine. So I do go around all of the edges of this, and I also paint the back of it. That way when you see it from all angles, it looks completely finished. Now I'm just peeling back that painter's tape, and it's always so fun to peel that back and see that everything looks great. Now I have these stickers from Dollar Tree, and I decided to use these because sometimes I use my Cricut for a lot of projects, but I thought it would be fun to kind of do this and show you that you don't have to have a Cricut to do every project, but definitely if you do have access to one and would rather do that or have some different letters you would want to do this with, use that. But I thought these letters looked really cute on this chalkboard here. So I'm just using a J and a Y, and I have these little peppermint, it's a little sprig or floral pick that I got from Hobby Lobby. I bought it when it was 50% off, so it was like $1.50. And I'm just deciding which one I like the best. And I ultimately decide on this one right here. I thought that looked like a classic peppermint candy there. And just using some hot glue, I will just glue that in the middle to make the word joy. I just think that that is so cute. I love that. And I just love the red and white for Christmas with the peppermint. I just think that is so cute. And I decide that it needs a little something extra. You could definitely leave it the way that it was, but I'm just taking some different little floral picks that I have. These are the little evergreen strands that you get in a pack of like 12 from Dollar Tree. I just cut a few pieces of it. And then this is just a little bit of boxwood from Walmart. I love to use this. It's like $1.98, and a sprig will last you for several projects. It is wonderful stuff. So if you're at Walmart, check the floral section to grab this because I absolutely love it, and it is so fun to use. And I thought it kind of added a little different element there for Christmas, a Christmas texture and everything. Now I have these little berries just from another pick that I've torn apart, so I'm just taking a couple off, and I just put a little bit of hot glue onto the end of them and then just stick them in where I think they look best, just to bring a little pop of red up to the top there. I felt that looked like a really cute holiday look there. And then I'm just taking these little curly cues, also were on a pick that I had, but you could easily make some just with some floral wire. I thought a lot of times you'll find the floral wire that has the little coating on it there like these. And I just thought it added a little bit of texture. I thought it was really cute. I had a lot of fun actually picking out different pieces to put on the top of this, and I thought it was really coming together cute. This ribbon is from Dollar Tree, and I just tied a double bow there, and then I'm just going to glue that right in the middle. When I glued it on there, I realized that the tails were a little bit long for how I wanted, so I do go in and kind of just cut those off at an angle there, so that way, not really dovetail, but I guess just more at a slant there. You'll see here as I trim that up, just so you can see it doesn't kind of go over the joy there or the peppermint. I thought that it needed to be shortened a little bit, but look at how cute this is. I think this is darling. It would be so cute like on a tiered tray or even just sitting out somewhere just to bring a little bit of joy to your space. I just thought this turned out absolutely beautiful. For this particular project, I'm just using a piece of scrap wood that I have. I picked up a box of scrap wood from a yard sale that I went to this summer, so I have some fun pieces and different shapes to do things with. So I'm just going to coat this. On the back, I'm going to give this a few coats of white to make sure that it looks good from all angles. On the front, I just did around the edges where you would see. Now I'm taking this 2023 calendar from Dollar Tree, and I'm taking this December page from it. I absolutely love this wreath. I think this page looks so farmhouse. I love the little wood look in the background. I think that this is so cute, and I thought it would be darling to have this somewhere in my home as decor. So I'm just going to fold over the edges because the calendar page is a little bit bigger than my scrap piece of wood that I have. So after I bend those down, I'm just going to trim them off a little bit just with my little trimmer here. So that way I will be able to fit it all the way onto this block of wood. Now I cut it a little bit smaller than the block of wood because I did want a little bit of that paint to show through. I kind of wanted it to look a little rustic that way. So of course, tailor it to whatever size that you're doing, but I thought this was really fun. Now I am just putting down here a coat of Mod Podge before I place this down. A moment ago you saw me, I just covered up the little calendar hole. I had taken a piece that I had trimmed off, and I just used some Elmer's glue to glue that on to cover up that little hole, and you cannot even see that it's there. So now I'm just lining up my page with where I want the edges to fall on my piece of wood on the background there, and I just put a thin coat of Mod Podge on there, and then I do grab my Mod Podge roller or my brayer, and I just kind of roll over that to make sure that I can get it as flat as possible. Now you can see there are a few little wrinkles that did develop there. The calendar pages, they really do not respond the best to the Mod Podge, and I know there's a lot of different techniques out there, so definitely try that. You could even just use your Elmer's glue stick, which is what I mostly use, but I kind of like to change it up a little bit. But you could see that while that Mod Podge was still wet, I was able to peel back carefully the pages. If you feel at all like those pages are going to tear, stop and don't do that. Just embrace the wrinkles if they're there. I've heard people use like cling wrap or something like that to kind of rub on. Now I'm just taking a little bit of white paint and dry brushing over it to make it look like it was kind of a part of that wood. And then I do take a thin layer of Mod Podge and place over the top of this just to make sure that calendar page is sealed, so that way if any moisture or anything was to get on this, it wouldn't bubble up, it would protect it. And I thought it would be really cute to just wrap a little bit of twine around this at the top. So I just kind of wrap it in, just do 3 little wraps around kind of in different ways so you can see it's layered there. And I just tie it off in the back and place a little bit of hot glue so that's not going to move anywhere. I really love adding different types of embellishment and texture to different projects, and I thought the twine was perfect for this one. So you can kind of see how it comes to a point in the middle there. I'm just taking some twine, wrapping it around my fingers and tying it off in the middle to make a little shoestring bow. And then I will just glue that into the center of the twine with just a little bit of hot glue. And I think this turns out so cute. It looks just like those little strands of twine were tied on with that. And I leave my tails a little bit longer because I really like the way that that looked. For how absolutely simple this DIY was, look at how beautiful it is. I am so excited to use this in my home. What did you guys think of this one? For this gift idea, you're going to need 4 of the little Hershey's candy bars that you pick up at the grocery store, and I am going to leave a link for these printables that I have created for you using Canva, so you can print them out and do this as well. We're going to make just a little card nativity. I received this from a coworker a few years back, and I thought it was the most darling little thing. And honestly, if you're wanting to do something religious for Christmas, you just want to throw something together for neighbors or coworkers or somebody, this is so easy. And it is really cute, and you can do it really quickly, especially with these printables. So again, those links will be down in my description box, but I'm just cutting out each of the little pieces of the nativity. I have a baby Jesus, I have Mary and Joseph, and I have the star. And then I printed those just on regular paper. You could do them on cardstock if you wanted to. I will say that the stable that I printed out there, that is on like a photo piece of paper, and so I would definitely do that on cardstock or photo paper. But I'm just using some glue dots. You could use some double-sided tape or whatever you have, and I am just folding these around the candy bar. Now these are all matched to the size here. If you use my printable, they were 3 inches by 1.5 inches if you want to create your own. So each of those little cutouts of the star and the people there were 1.5 inch by 3 inches. So, and then I just printed that stable on a 4x6 photo card. But you can see how simple this is, just folding these over. This would definitely be something that your kids could help you do. They would be great neighbor gifts, or even just gifts for cousins or anybody. Just something to throw together that really does kind of have that true meaning of Christmas, and who doesn't love to get chocolate for Christmas? If you do use the printables that I have made for you, I have already sized the pieces that go on the chocolate, come on an 8 by, just a normal sheet of paper, like an 8 by 11, whatever the measurements are of a normal piece of paper. And you'll get like 4 sets on there, I believe. And then the stable is sized to 4x6. So when you print that out, it will just print as a 4x6 size. So you can print it out on photo paper or on cardstock. Now to put these on, I'm just using glue dots on the back of them, and I space them out how I would like them here. Pretty easy peasy. And then I'm just taking the cellophane bag. This came from the like gift section at Walmart, so it wasn't in like a Christmas section or anything. It's just their normal birthday section. And I thought it would be really cute to put a little bit of raffia in there to kind of look like some straw from the manger in there. I thought that just kind of added a little bit something extra in there. So that's totally optional. And you could package this however you want. You could just hand it as the card, but I thought in the cellophane bag it kind of added a little bit more to it. And I'm just using some twine. This is just some red and green twine I picked up at Walmart, and I'm just going to tie this into a cute little bow. Once you print these out, this takes no time at all. I mean, this is such a perfect gift, even for like somebody in your church group or something. But look at how sweet that looks. I think that looks so adorable. Here's just a picture of it all put together, all tied up. I think this is one of my favorite things, and I love giving this out. I have used this a couple of times over the last couple of years that I've given to people, and they honestly love it. It's just something cute, and it really is super simple and such a great reminder of the true meaning of Christmas. In my stash, I have this orange tin sign blank, and I've kind of been wondering what to do. Where it was orange, I think originally thought I was going to do a fall DIY with it, but we're just going to paint it and make a Christmas DIY out of it.
I just give this about 3 or 4 coats of red chalk paint. You easily could spray paint it. I just did not have any red spray paint on hand this day, so the chalk paint or acrylic paint, whatever you have that way, would work just fine. Now, I do have some little ornament shapes that I picked up at the craft store. I have seen them at Dollar Tree. You could even just cut out just paper. You wouldn't have to use the 3-dimensional element. So easy to kind of tailor this to what works best for you. But I do just trace out a circle on some of my plaid paper, and I'm just going to use that on the front of my ornament. Now I'm going to use my favorite school glue. This is just purple glue stick. It's Elmer's glue. It works fantastic for a lot of craft projects. I feel like when crafters find something that works for them, they do just continue to use that. And I have not had any issues with this, so I do use it quite a bit. But I do just place this paper right down. I line up where the plaid, where I want it to kind of be, just eyeball it, see what looks good. And then I'm just using my Mod Podge roller just to kind of make sure that that gets very good and bonded. And then this is very sped up, but in a slow downward motion with my file, I just make those edges crisp and clear. And then I also paint around the edge with some black paint to finish it off. And I have this gold paint pen from Dollar Tree, so I just use that to put on the top of my ornament. I love to add the nativity into my Christmas decorating any way that I can, so I did just cut out this little silhouette of the nativity. You easily could skip this step if you did not want to, or you could even print one out from online if you don't have a cutting machine and decoupage it on there. Now I cut out the letters J and Y because our ornament will act as our O. These are block letters, so you could easily cut these out by hand with paper, using sticker paper or vinyl if you don't have a cutting machine, or you could even stencil them on there, or if you're good at hand lettering, you could definitely do that. I want to make sure that this ornament is very good and stuck, so I did use some super glue as well as some hot glue, and then I'm just going to put a little holly leaf and some berries on there. I thought that was so cute, and if you know anything about the song The Holly and the Ivy, you know how the holly correlates to the birth of Christ, and I absolutely love using that in combination with my nativity. So I do take some metallic acrylic paint. That was hard for me to say for some reason, but I do just dry brush that on. You would not have to do this step. I thought where it was a tin sign, it would look kind of cute and rustic, and you can do it as heavy-handed as you want. I end up getting very heavy-handed on here, and I know that's not everybody's style, so you definitely do it to what works best for you, or not at all. But I just go around all the edges with those little, the little bead type looking, the little raised areas. It looks really, really good. I am so happy with how this turned out. I absolutely love that little ornament with the nativity in the middle. I think that this is absolutely perfect. What do you guys think of this one?
In all of my Christmas stash, I have these beautiful bags and wrappings that came from Walmart, and they were all from the same line, and every year they do something similar. So this year their bags may be a little bit different, but it's so fun to take these and make decor pieces out of them, which is exactly what I'm doing today. So for the first one, I have this little sign from Dollar Tree. You can use any shape or sign that fits your bag, but I'm taking this little teeny package here, this bag that says Merry Christmas, and I'm just going to turn it into a cute little sign. A lot of times I find wrapping that I'm like, this could be cute enough to be a wall hanging or something, and I know this is nothing new. You've probably seen other crafters make signs out of different pieces of bags and things from Dollar Tree, but I haven't really seen anybody take a whole line of packaging from a store and make an entire vignette out of them. So I had a lot of fun with this, and it's a very cost-effective way to make some really cute looking decor. So I just cut the front of the bag off, and I'm taking my little X-Acto knife to slit where the handle of the bag is so I can easily remove that. And I want to have the sign be as flat as possible, that bag. So that's why I'm being very careful rather than just ripping that out. Now I'm just removing any 3D pieces or embellishment from my blank that I'm using. And you can see I'm just dry fitting this little piece in here from the bag, and I just take my thumbnail and go around it. Now I turn this over and I cut it with my paper cutter here to make sure that I get a nice straight line, and it takes me a minute before I realize what I've done here. I've cut part of the words off on Merry Christmas, and I'm just like fitting it in there not even realizing to seeing how much more I need to cut off. So when you're cutting it off, just make sure, this is where I realize, oh wait, I cut part of my words off. How am I going to fix that? Am I going to glue it back? What am I going to do? Now, luckily on this bag, it's double-sided. So I just flip it over, cut the other side out, and then I cut it correctly. And my sign is going to be, my paper is just a little bit shy of what this size of sign is. So I go through and paint just a little bit of white around the edges of the sign. I think I end up covering the whole thing, but mostly just to get the edges so you can't see anything. And I end up taking from that first piece of the bag that I cut out, just a little bit of the top where the greenery is, and I'm adding that at the very tippy top of my sign. That's going to cover any gap that I might have. So I glue that down first. You cannot tell that I've done this at all, but I mean, you could definitely get a bigger bag that you could cut down so you don't have this issue, or you could easily find a different size of blank that you want to use. Now I'm very carefully peeling that excess paper off where the handle was, because I want to have it lay as flat as possible. If you feel like it's going to rip the front of your bag, stop and don't do it. It still lays pretty flat, because some of my other pieces that I've made with this, I did not have a problem with at all. And then you can see it just looks like that greenery goes all the way up to the top. Now I got some cling wrap, some like saran wrap or plastic wrap from the store, because I've had a lot of people tell me with decoupage to try that. I know this is not decoupage, I'm just using my purple school glue, but I did really like how it works, and I do use it for a few other projects. Now I'm spraying some adhesive on here, just some spray adhesive and a little bit of glitter. This is completely optional. I just thought this would add a nice little extra touch to it, so it does look a little bit more custom. And I'm really pleased with how this sign looks. I think it's darling. It will be so cute to sit in your decor, and especially paired with all of the other pieces that I have today. I think it looks really festive, and on a budget, I think this is absolutely great. So for this project, I have these two signs from Dollar Tree, and you can use any signs. They have these for every season in different decor. Some of them are a little bit of a different size, so just keep that in mind. I'm using my heat tool and my putty knife just to get the stickers off of the back of it, because I want to use this back side as the front of my sign. So I just gently sand down the stickiness there. And I'm going to use a combination of wood glue and hot glue to get these two pieces glued together, because I need the sign to be a little bit wider than what one of these is. So I'm putting them together to have a larger size sign. So I'm also putting a little bit of super glue on here along that crack between the two, and I'm going to use some craft sticks that I put some hot glue on for that quick hold there, and I'm just putting those on so that way the sign is very stable. It's very sturdy anyway, so I don't know that this would have been necessary, but I really just didn't want it coming apart. And I will cover the back up with some craft paper. Now I'm just taking some like joint compound or like spackling and just putting between the cracks here to make it look like it's one piece of wood. I don't go all the way down to the middle, because I have, as you can see, my bag off to the right there. I'm going to be putting that on, so it's going to cover the middle, but it will show at the top edge and the bottom edge. So I just wanted to make sure that it looked like one side. Now you guys, I learned this hack from the Rusted Willow. She is awesome. I'll link her channel down below, so if you want to go visit her. But she keeps her antiquing wax in these little squeeze jars that you get at Dollar Tree. And I thought, this is the most brilliant thing. And I just happened to be watching one of her videos and saw this and was like, this is a genius. I'm totally going to do it. I don't know if she came up with it or what, but I just saw it in one of her videos. But look, you can just go pour that right out onto your piece, and you have control over how much. I'm not having to pour some out and then pour it back in or dip it. I just thought this was such a brilliant hack, and so I just thought I would pass it on and share it, because I absolutely loved it, and so far it's working great for me. And you can see like how the precision is that you get on the edge. Now I'm covering this whole thing in the antiquing wax because I want to do a crackle method with it, so you can paint this any color that you want to do your sign. You're just going to match the packaging that you purchased, like the gift wrap that you purchased. Now this is Folk Arts Crackle Medium here. I just picked this up at Hobby Lobby, but I know there are several other brands. I have yet to use any other brands, just this one. It works great, but if you have and trust another product, keep using that. Let me know in the comments if you do have another one that you're like, no, try this one. It's even better, because I love trying new products. Now you put this on, and I put it on pretty liberally, and let it dry. It says on here, I'm finding it here, let it dry for 1 hour I let mine dry overnight because I did this late at night one time, and I just thought it would set together really, but you just want it dry, dry, dry. So then you come in with your top coat, and you do not want to go over where you have painted. You don't want to disturb the process at all. And I do that at one point here, and it'll kind of show you that I kind of mess it up and have to go touch it up. But you just want to get your top coat on here. And I feel like the thicker the paint, the bigger the cracks you're going to have. And so just keep that in mind as you're doing this. And you can kind of see how quickly it takes. I mean, this is just after a couple of minutes. I'm wet distressing the edges so they blend in a little bit there. So I just took a wet paper towel and went down the sides there to create a little bit of detail. Now I'm just going to cut my bag out here. This sign, I love this little Noel sign. All of the pieces that I'm using from this line of gift wrap are all kind of neutral and kind of a woodsy feel, and I really was loving that vibe together. But that's what's so fun is I got these all at Walmart. Go to your department stores or your like Walmart or Target or wherever you buy your gift wrap that's going to sell a whole set with matching tissue paper and like 3 or 4 bags in the set, and see what you can come up with, because it makes such a great, that's what's so fun about this is you have a whole set of pieces to display together rather than just like a one-off from Dollar Tree. Now I used some water on the edge of this to tear out so it had more of a natural edge rather than a cut edge, where it's not going to fit flush with the sign. It's going to be displayed on the sign so it doesn't go quite to the edges, so you can see that crackle. I thought that would be a little bit more of a rustic look and look a little bit more natural, like it was intentional. And I just used some of my school glue. If you want to do Mod Podge, that would work too, whatever technique you like to use. I don't have the most success with Mod Podge and thicker paper. That could just be a me issue though, so do what you know. Now I just put some hot glue around the edge on the back. This is just some craft paper. You just buy it in the roll. You can get it at Walmart, Dollar Tree. Christmas time, you can find like the brown paper wrapping, which is a little bit thicker, and I really do like that. So pick some of that up as the holiday season is around the corner, and you'll start to see some of that wrapping in the stores. Now I'm just sanding a little bit around the edge to give a clean edge to this, so that way it looks very nice and precise on the back. And I go over with some Mod Podge to seal the paper so that way it's going to last for years to come. But look at how beautiful this sign is. I love that it's tall, it's thick. I think that crackle looks so pretty with that Noel on there. I think this is going to look so great with the vignette. What do you guys think of this piece? Is this something that you would try? Are you liking this idea with the gift wrap and doing the decorating pieces with it? This little sign came from Walmart last year. They may have them this year, but Dollar Tree sometimes has signs this size. I usually, if I can find them for, I think it was $1 for this sign, and I picked up quite a few of them to have. So just a small little sign, and whenever you find them, pick a couple up to have in your stash, because they're so fun to be able to use and make different signs out for your personalized decor. So I'm just taking one of these little bags. It happens to have like this little paint speckled pattern on it. I just carefully cut off the handle, and then I'm just using some of my purple Elmer's school glue here, just this glue stick, which I love for projects like this, and I'm just going to place that down onto the sign. And this is going to be kind of a background. I'm going to make a cute little ornament out of one of the hang tags, the gift tags on one of these bags. And so I love the fact that this particular bag here looked like scrapbook paper, just kind of a back design, but it matches everything so perfectly. I thought it was great. So I just glued that back into the sign here, so then I have a new backing to the sign. Now you could paint the frame, you could do whatever you wanted. I thought the frame actually matched quite well. Now I just have my gift tag sitting in there right now as I do this, but it has the little hole at the top of it. So a way to get around that is to, of course, add a bow to it. I feel like that's what I say all the time. But I mean anything, like a cute little brad might be really cute up at the top there, a little button or some kind of gem or something like that. So it doesn't have to be a bow. I just thought that the little twine bow was really cute. So I just wrapped that around my finger a couple of times and tied it off in the middle with another piece of twine to make a cute little finger bow, and then I will just cut the excess tails off, and just using a little bit of hot glue I'll put that right over the hole.
I first want to make sure that my tag is glued down to my backdrop here. So just using some hot glue all over, I just center that and drop that right in. I loved the fact that this was a circular tag in the square picture frame there. I thought that was really cute. And here's where I'm putting the hot glue on, and then I will add that twine bow right on top of that. Again, use your imagination for what you think to cover up that hole with, what you would think. I mean, you could even cut a new circular design out of a different type of paper that you wanted to use. Now I'm just taking some twine and I'm just making a loop there because I'm going to staple this with my staple gun onto the back because I'm making this to be a hang ornament. Now, as is right now, it would be so cute on a tiered tray or just to have as a cute little sign, but just to do something a little bit different, I thought an ornament would be really fun. So I'm just stapling that with my staple gun. And there we have it, a darling little ornament. I mean, you could make, if you had a couple of these different frames, you could make 3 or 4 of these and put them all over your tree. I just think it's so cute, clever, and very inexpensive. And I think it looks really cute and matched together with everything. This is going to be beautiful and it's going to make the most lovely display. I loved the look of this bag with the beautiful shimmer of the cloche, almost kind of like it's dotted, almost like a snow globe. I just thought it was really pretty and would make a very cute sign. And I picked this piece up from Dollar Tree this year. Now, Dollar Tree usually has some type of framed sign like this for different seasons. I really liked the frame that was on here and the size of this. I mean, this was a darling picture the way that it was. So I actually did pick one up just for my normal Halloween decor. And then I'll have it for a couple of years and then probably use it as a sign blank or something. But this was just an extra one I picked up. And my putty knife slips right between the frame and the backing of the sign. And it actually goes a little bit under the paper that's on the sign. And so it actually was very easy to remove. And you'll see here in just a second that all of this paper came right off with no problems. So there was just that little piece left there, and I just took my putty knife and that little piece came right off. So it left me with a clean surface to work with, which is very rarely happens, I feel like, with Dollar Tree signs, but it was a very nice process here. Again, I just cut the bag sign out. The front design had that beautiful shimmer on it, and you're left with the seconds. These bags were all double-sided, so you're left with the back side to do whatever you want with if you want to make another piece with, but that front side has usually a little bit more embellishment on it. I'm just using that X-Acto knife to very easily and carefully cut the handles of the bag off, and then just using some hot glue around the frame here. I do the frame, and you can see the frame I glue to the actual bag itself, like the paper, and then I'll glue the frame down on the backing. So right now I'm not lining it up with the back, I'm just trying to get the design centered there and get it in. And then once I get that on, I'll go back and put hot glue around the edge of the backing of the sign, and then I just take that frame and place it right down onto it. The fun part about doing projects like this is you can embellish them any way. You could leave it just plain and simple the way that it was, but I felt like it was missing a little something, like it looked just a little plain, and so I thought this cute little bow. Now, I like to add bows to things, and I get that they're not everybody's style, so some cute greenery on here, anything that you would want to do. Like I said, you're more than welcome to leave it plain at this point, but I loved this ribbon with the cute tree on there since it had the tree in the cloche on the design there, and I just made a loop with it and then tied it off with some twine in the middle to make just a little bow here, almost like a shoestring bow or finger bow. And then I just cut the excess twine off, and I go in and dovetail the ends of this ribbon to give it a little bit of an extra touch there, so that way it looks a little bit more finished. You can even just cut them at a little bit of an angle. I just felt like in this particular project the dovetail looked really, really cute. And you just can size it to however, and I didn't know if I was going to put it off to the side. I think I ended up putting it right in the middle, and just with a little bit of hot glue. I just feel like the little extra touches are what makes it look personalized. It can dress it up as much as you want, or you can just leave it as simple as you want.
And here's the finished piece all completed. I think this looks beautiful. I personally love that bow with it. I think that it adds definitely an extra touch that it was needing. And that shimmer on the glass of the cloche, I think, is just beautiful. I think this went from being a darling gift wrap bag to a beautiful sign to have in your home. I think this project ends up being my favorite out of all of these using the gift wrap. I just love this bag, and I have this tag from 4th of July and it has these 3-dimensional stars on here. So I'm going to set those aside because they'll be perfect for some other Christmas projects. Now, this is what I'm talking about when you buy all of these pieces that come together like in a gift wrap line, is it has this tissue paper that matches perfectly. And I really liked the look of this, and I'm going to do some decoupaging here. So I'm just using some Mod Podge, and I just put some of that onto my tag sign here, and I'm just going to spread that out. You want a thin layer of this, and I know I got too much of this on here, but I did scrape most of it off. But I'm taking my tissue paper and I'm going to gently place this down, and I have some cling wrap there, saran wrap, plastic wrap, whatever. I know different regions call it different stuff, but I've had a lot of you tell me to try this when I'm decoupaging, and I can see definitely the benefit of it. I think I was working with too big of a piece. I should have cut it down, and I'm still kind of perfecting my technique. Let's put it that way. I'm still learning. So, and we all are learning at things, right? So it's not the most perfect job. However, I like the texture that the wrinkles do cause. Now I can lift it up a little bit. If you start to feel your paper tear, stop, just embrace where you're at and move on, because you don't want to have to deal with ripped paper. So I'm trimming it a little late here, as you can see here. I should have cut it down to size before I started my project. However, this is what it looks like when it's dry. So the background, because I was worried it was going to be too dark, but I actually really like the tones of it now that it's dry. Now, this bag had this little 3-dimensional, like corrugated cardboard piece as a frame, and I really liked that. So I'm just gently trying to tear where that 3-dimensional like foam is, and so I can have that still pop out on my tag. And then the tree was just like printed on the bag like this, so I'm just cutting that out so I have that for my tag here. And I just think this looks so cute, but I wanted to embellish it a little bit. So I had these ribbons in my stash. This birchwood ribbon right here came from Dollar Tree, and I got it. I don't know if I've seen it. I think last year I did see it. I got this fall last year, I believe, was when I got it. So Christmas time, I don't remember if they had it or not, but it may be a popular ribbon, so check for it and see, because I really do like it. And I just had some normal burlap ribbon. You can get this at any craft store. At Dollar Tree has some plain burlap ribbon from time to time, and they even have one with lace on it that you can even just unstitch the lace from it if you're looking for an inexpensive way to get the burlap ribbon, or just even use some burlap. Whatever you decide, however you want to embellish this, it's going to be up to you. I'm just giving you some ideas for when you find your gift wrap and bags you want to use, you have some ideas of some projects to make. I love this Christmas tree ribbon. It comes from Hobby Lobby. They do have it in stock this year. And I know that the trees are sideways, but I think that it works. Now, I just put some glue on this white piece with the tree on the sleigh there. And I'm just putting some of the hot glue on the foam pieces. So that's going to help this piece stand out and have a little bit of dimension to it, which I love when that happens on a piece, because I just feel like it gives a little bit of visual interest. Now the tag naturally has these holes at the top, so I'm just using the tip of a pencil here just to poke those through. I mean, whatever you want to use, just to make sure that you can get a little bit of twine through here. Now I'm just putting some hot glue on the ends of that. I let it dry a little bit, like cool. Then I twist it with my fingers. It gives it a very nice hard edge there to put through so you can tie it. Now, let's talk about the back of this sign for just a second. You could put craft paper on the back of this sign to cover it up at any time, probably well before I do. I honestly, as I was doing this, forgot that the back had that 4th of July design on it until right then when I turned it over and went, oh yeah, that's still there. I don't know why I didn't cover it up before I put the ribbon on it, because you could make that ribbon have a nice look all the way around. At any point, put some craft paper on the back or paint it. I do eventually do it, and I'll show you
I guess I just like to make my life more difficult. I don't know. But I'm taking this greenery right here. This is just some greenery sprigs that I have in my stash. You can pick them up anywhere. Dollar Tree, the craft store, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. And these little sugared eucalyptus I picked up this year from Hobby Lobby. And I really love the woodsy feel that they give mixed with the greenery, like the Christmas greens there. And I'm just using some hot glue to make a little bit of a swag. So I just do the same thing on either side so it looks completely symmetrical. And then I just put a big glob of hot glue there to make sure these aren't going anywhere. Now I'm taking some more of this tree ribbon because I thought I would tie in that strip from the bottom, and I made like 2 loops with it so I would have like a double bow, and I'm tying that off in the middle with a little bit of twine. Now I don't show this part that I do, but I cut a little bit of the ribbon off and I glue over the twine. Like I just put it around the middle, and I don't know why I don't show that in here, but I just wanted you to know that you could leave the twine as is, or take a little piece of the ribbon and glue it over the twine so it's wrapping around the bow so it looks like it's completely tied. So that's just a matter of personal preference there. But it's so easy to do these bows, just a couple loops, tie it off in the middle, and someday, you guys, I'm going to learn how to be a master bow maker. I just need to put it on my schedule and stick to it and learn, because I really do think they're so pretty, but I just am not the best at making them. So now moving on, I am just taking some bells that I have. These are rusted bells. You can buy them at the craft store or on Amazon. You can even take your own bells and do a technique of doing some Mod Podge and cinnamon, or you can rust them in vinegar. I just really, really loved the rustic look with everything I have going on here. So I just tied each of the bells on some twine, and then I tied the twine off so they look like they're like dangling from our greenery here. And I'm just putting a little bit of hot glue there, and then I will just gently place these down so they can hang just below where that bow is. And I tied one a little bit shorter than the other so they're not completely hanging at the same level, so just kind of staggered. And now I just do some hot glue on the bow to put that in. Now I decided not to dovetail the ends of this bow because I felt like there was a lot going on anyway. So I cut it at a little bit of an angle, and with that wire, I'm just bending it a little bit to give it some shape. And then I'm just blasting with my heat tool to get rid of any hot glue strings that might be left behind on there. So here is where I add my craft paper, you guys. I literally waited till the last possible moment. So add it anytime before I do and you'll be golden. So I just used some hot glue around the edges. I put that on and then I sanded, but it was very hard around the bows, like the ribbon on the back, to do it. But it looks beautiful. This, I said, was my favorite piece out of all of these that I did with the gift wrap, and I think this looks so high-end. I think it's going to be beautiful in my decor, and paired with all of these pieces, I think it just turned out stunning. And I love the ribbon on the end, and I just am in love with how this piece turned out. I'm anxious to know your thoughts on this one.
I really think this looks so sophisticated all together. I think it's beautiful. It really does make such a difference getting a few pieces of gift wrap from the same collection to make your decor items out of, rather than just grabbing one bag here, one bag there, or something like that. So keep that in mind next time that you're shopping around and you see some really beautiful gift wrap and bags. Find the pieces that coordinate together and make a vignette out of those.
These cute little drawer boxes come from Dollar Tree, and I just love them. The one side has a design cut out of it, but we're going to cover that up. Now, I actually did this exact DIY just with different colors in a tiered tray that I did last year, and it was a huge hit. Everybody seemed to like that idea because it was like kind of like a 2-for-1. So you could even separate them and have one for a tiered tray and make another one for another one. I just thought it was cute to have them both together, so it's kind of like 2 DIYs with one item. And so I'm making little packages out of these. So all I did was just glue a little bit on the inside of the box. So that's going to be the bottom where the opening is in the box. So it will sit on the base of your tiered tray. And then I just wrapped that ribbon around. Now this ribbon, I believe, came from, it was either JoAnns or Hobby Lobby. Those are usually the only places that I typically buy ribbon at, unless I get it at Dollar Tree. And this is, I know this isn't Dollar Tree. But I just thought that candy cane was really, like, pattern was really cute there. And then I just do it over both sides so it looks like it's crisscrossing. You could even cut out some cute little scrapbook paper if you wanted to use. If you don't have these drawers and want to do this on just a cube, that's great too. I like this because you get to do 2 out of 1, like 2 DIYs out of the 1 item that you buy at Dollar Tree, versus if you bought cubes, you'd have to buy 2 cubes to do it. And then I just do a cute little bow to stick on the top of here. You can embellish these any way you want. I mean, be creative. One of these, the second one that I do, I use a little bit of greenery, but you could make a cute little scrap bow. You can put all sorts of little jingle bells on there or something. I mean, go ahead and have fun with it. It's going to be on your tiered tray, and so you can do it however you want. So to make the little bow on this, I did just loop some ribbon around and tie it off in the middle with some baker's twine, but then I thought the baker's twine didn't look as good, and so I just cut a little strip of the ribbon off to put down the middle. Now I wanted some little tails to come off. I thought that would make this bow look really full and everything, so I just cut a little length of ribbon, and I'm just tying that with some baker's twine in the middle, and then I dovetailed the ends, and you can see how cute that looks. And I just glued the little loop bow on top of that so it looks like this package is completely all tied up. So moving on to the second little box that I have. Now this one I am using Dollar Tree ribbon on, and since it is not quite thick enough to cover the design, I'm just going to double it up on the one side. You could double it up on both sides if you wanted. I ended up liking a little bit of more of the white space showing on the box itself. So the same process, I just put a little bit of glue on the inside of the box, and I fold that ribbon around to the other side, and then I'll put a little bit more glue down, and then I will glue it. I mean, it's pretty basic and easy, and it's so, I mean, I think these turn out so cute. But you can see I just double that ribbon up so it covers up the cutout that's on the box there, so you won't ever see that. And you can even position that into the back when you do your embellishing on the top, so that way if it's against a wall or anything, you're for sure not ever going to see that. And here I just do the one little piece around. I thought that just looked really cute to have it tied up this way. And then I have this is from a boxwood pick that I bought at Walmart. I love these boxwood picks. I've used them in so many different things. So if you're there, definitely grab a couple of these because you can use them year round. Some little pine boughs would look really cute too. This is just what I had a little bit of that looked really good. And I just kind of keep checking. I made this little bow to go on the top just by looping the ribbon together a couple of times, and I just keep placing that bow down and thinking, oh, I can put a little bit more greenery on here. And I just do the process back and forth, and just using a little bit of glue on the stems of these little boxwoods right here. I just keep placing those down, and then I place them down in the front there, and then I finally put my cute little bow on there. And I thought it looked really cute. It would be really cute to leave like this, but as I was walking away from it, I found these little berries that I had sitting there, and I thought, well, this would be really cute to add just a little grouping of berries on there also. And so I just add those on there just with a little bit of hot glue. And I think this turned out absolutely darling. Like I said, you could separate these up or use them both together, but these are perfect little packages. They are great little tiered tray fillers, and they're darling, and they're so easy to do. This is such an easy project to recreate that you guys are going to love how simple this is, and it looks so cute on my tiered tray. So I just got these letters, well, they're not letters, they're numbers from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to paint over them. Had I done to do this over again, I would have started with a base color of white to color over the letters. That way I think I would have had to do less coats of the red, because you can see after this first coat of red paint, when I come in here with my little heat tool and dry it, it almost looks like there's nothing. I mean, it's still very, very black. So it did take several coats of the red paint. So if you do this, try doing a base of white chalk paint first, because then the red would pop off of that. And so it does take, like I said, 6 or 7 coats of the paint here, and I just use my heat tool to dry in between. This project took like 3 minutes to do. It was so quick and so easy, and you just see just thin layers, and then I take my heat tool out, and I do have this particular heat tool linked down in my description box. I love this. I use it in almost every single craft that I do, and it's awesome. Anyhow, just thin coats and just do lots of those. This was the last coat that I did, and when I went to dry it, I felt like you couldn't see the number appear back through it, and so I felt like that was good enough coverage for what I wanted to do with it. Now I have this frame from Dollar Tree, and it's just this perfect square size, and I thought it would be perfect. Those numbers are going to fit right in the center there. And the frame actually matches kind of my rustic style, so I didn't even have to do anything to the frame itself. But if you needed to, you could paint that frame whatever color you were trying to match your things to. So now I just took that little center like advertisement that's in the middle of the frame, and I took that out and then just cut out a piece of cardstock that same size, just white cardstock. You could do Christmas craft paper, you could do anything. I just kind of was going for a more simplistic look, and then very carefully just peel the letters back. And if it peels any of the paint off, like on the bottom of my two, I just had to rub my finger along the bottom of the two, and that made just a crisp edge on that paint. And then I carefully just line these up. You can measure if you're a person who likes to measure. I don't. I'm a person that likes to get things done when it comes to crafting. So I just kind of eyeballed it, and I just slipped that back right on there. And when I turn this around, I just think this looks so cute. It is very simple and very easy, but when you guys see this on the tiered tray, you're going to love how it looks. I just think it was so easy, and it's a great way to get those inexpensive sticker letters and customize them to whatever colors that you're looking for.
So I found this cute little metal bucket or planter at my thrift store. It had a regular price of $20 on it, but it had been marked down to $2. And then this cute little snowman that says the word snow beneath him. I'm not going to use any of the letters for this project. I'll hang on to them for another project, but I'm going to use that darling little snowman for sure. So I'm just taking some white paint in a chip brush, and I am just going to dry brush all over this little pot. I feel, and it's metal, so I'm not really sure if it's like a pot or a basket container. Let's call it a container. So I'm just going to brush all over this, and that detail and design is just going to pop because it will stay that darker color. And I really love how this looks, and I really feel like this is something I could use all year long, not necessarily just for winter. How you dress it up with what floral arrangement you put in it is going to determine what season it will be best for. So now to get our snowman all ready, so I am just going to take him off from these cute little letters, and we're just going to kind of give him a little bit of a new wardrobe. So I just cut my wires there with some wire cutters to get him off of there. And I want to remove, this is a metal scarf that's on him, and I don't particularly love that. I mean, I could just leave it like that, but I kind of wanted to dress that up a little bit. So I do try with my wire cutters to cut it, and then realize this is the flimsiest little piece of tin, so I can easily cut it with my scissors. So that's what I do, and then I just use some needle nose pliers to get it out because it was stuck in there with like a little staple or something. And so now we kind of have a little naked snowman, but I'm going to cut the hanging tag off of him because we are not going to need to hang him anymore. And after I take that off, I just use my sander to make sure that any sharp edges that would be left from the metal are completely gone. So I just take some buffalo check ribbon that I had, and I am going to tie that onto him for his scarf. That matches my decor. This is where you could totally customize it to be whatever you would like. And I just tie it in a knot, and then I am going to dovetail the ends of each side of the scarf. And I mean, I know a scarf's not necessarily dovetailed, but I really just thought that gave a good finished look to it. So you could definitely cut it at an angle or however you would like. I just thought that looked so cute, and he just looks so wintry. So I'm just taking some floral picks that I have. This one came from Hobby Lobby, and I have a few others from Dollar Tree that I am just going to tuck in here. I have this package of these evergreen little picks or strands that I got here from Dollar Tree, and I'm just taking a bunch of them, folding them in half and tucking them in to make it look a little bit fuller. And then I am taking my snowman and just a wooden dowel, and I slide it up through the scarf, so if I ever decide I want to change it, I don't have to deal with glue on the scarf. And I am just going to put some hot glue to glue that in, and then just tuck him inside. I think this just turned out so cute, and it is so wintry. I absolutely love this little snowman and think it looks so cute in this little arrangement.
I've noticed ladders becoming more and more popular in tiered trays that I've seen, and I'm kind of trying to figure out ways to get them. So I found this in the fairy garden section at Hobby Lobby, and it was $2.99, but I did buy it when it was like 40 or 50% off, so you can get it for fairly inexpensive. And it does kind of have this like caramely color to it or something. Not really what I want in my North Pole themed or Santa type themed tiered tray. So I'm just going to cover it with some white chalk paint, And I do kind of do like paint on the coat, and then I realize I get much better coverage doing like a pouncing motion with my brush, and it makes it look a little bit more weathered and rustic. So that's what I do. And then I have this pip berry, and I get asked all the time if it's pit with a P-I-T or pip with a P-I-P, and it's P-I-P, pip berry garland. And this just came from Dollar Tree. I just snipped a little bit off of there, and I thought it would look really cute to wind this around and have it be just kind of look like the red and white Christmas colors, just kind of like it had in my mind, maybe in the North Pole, this vine grows all over everything. So I just thought it would bring a little pop of color into there and add a little bit of dimension. Now, and I just weave it in between all of the little slats on the ladder, and there are the little rungs and all of the, just everywhere. You can kind of see how I'm doing this here. I have kind of found that when looking for different types of items to do tiered trays with, that the fairy garden section is actually a very good section to look in, and so is the dollhouse section at your craft store, or I'm not sure if Walmart has a dollhouse like that sells little dollhouse craft furniture or anything, but I know the craft stores do, and it's a brilliant place to look. And then Hobby Lobby for sure has a fairy garden area, so definitely check those out. But look at how absolutely darling this looks. I think this is going to look so cute stacked up the side of a tiered tray, climbing up like the little elves are climbing up to the next level to decorate it. So I found this little plant at Hobby Lobby, and it actually was in like, well, this came from the spring section, so I got it when it was 75% off. But you guys, it's like a place setting, like where you would put like a name card on a place setting for like a dinner party. So I'm just pulling out that little teeny thing where you would put that name card. I have found so many fun things to use in my crafts at this section at the craft stores, like napkin rings and like the place setting things like this. So always check those areas out and be thinking like, is this something I could easily do? Because this is so cute. It ended up being just a couple of dollars, and I can totally customize it to any style of tiered tray throughout any season. So to make this a little bit winter themed, I'm taking some of my baker's twine. I love using baker's twine at Christmas time because of that cute red and white. I mean, it looks just like a candy cane. It was almost like it was made for Christmas time. So they're on this little pail there with the little grooves there. So I just put a little bit of hot glue on the back where the seam of the pail was. And then I just carefully wrap that baker's twine around each of the little grooves there and glue that off. And I also thought it would be really, really cute to take a cute little bow, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Here I'm just making sure that I get around all of these little grooves. This one also took no time at all. It was so simple and easy that if you can work a hot glue gun and cut some string, you guys are in. Like, it's pretty it's pretty basic, but it turns out so cute. Here's where I'm tying the little bow around the little stem of the tree, or the little trunk of the tree. I love when I'm doing tiered trays to try and think of different textured items. I love to have items that have some words on them, along with some type of greenery. I'm not doing a beaded garland in this particular tiered tray. However, I do love to see beaded garlands in there. I just try and think of different textures, like how I have the ladder that I'm using in this one with the stuff wrapped around it. And instead of having like all signs or all something, just try and think of adding a little bits of differences. I hope how I'm explaining that makes sense to you guys. So I'm just taking a sprig of berries. This was just in my bag of leftover berries of stuff that I've cut off of other picks that I've had. So you can easily pick these up at Dollar Tree or Walmart. And then I'm first just sticking them in because I think, well, I want to be able to switch this out for different seasons. However, I end up putting a little bit of hot glue on the end of them and sticking them in because I felt like I could still peel that off if I stuck them in deep enough to that you can kind of see how deep I will go in here. That I could still peel those out, and that way if it gets bumped into or anything through the season, they're not just going to fall out, and I'm not going to deal with having berries going everywhere. And I just eyeball how many I want all the way around so it just looks like a cute little berry tree. I'm thinking that those are just like what, around Santa's workshop, that these are just grown everywhere, these cute little topiaries with all these cute little berries on them. I don't know. I always make stories up when I'm making tiered trays in my mind to try and tell a story. It kind of helps me come up with the ideas. But I think this little tree turns out so cute. I love it. What do you guys think of this? Is this something that you guys would try? I have this cute little sign. I got it at Hobby Lobby last summer. I made a cherry sign out of it for my cherry tier tray that I did in the summertime. And when I got this sign, it was about $6 or so, I think, but I bought it at 50% off. And so it was well within my $5 range. But when I made it, I don't even remember what it said on the original site, but I painted over what it actually said. And I think in my video, I actually mentioned like, oh, dang, that was kind of silly of me because I could have flipped it over and have a double-sided sign. So in the back of my head, looking at this sign, I thought I can use it for another project and have it be a double-sided sign. So I thought this would be perfect. Now I'm just painting it red. I thought it would be good because it would match the front side of that sign. And I did see, or as you saw, I had to put some painter's tape down because I'm not very good at not getting paint everywhere. So I used a little bit of painter's tape. Now I'm just taking these stencils. These come from Dollar Tree. I love them so much. I buy them all the time when I find them. So if you don't ever see them, keep checking because they will come in. I have to thumb through like several that are there sometimes to find these because I swear when Dollar Tree stocks them, they just like put whatever they get on front of whatever's already there. And so sometimes you have to search all the way to the back to find the ones you're looking for. But Hobby Lobby, Walmart, any craft store carries a very good selection of stencils. So if you don't see them at Dollar Tree, you can always check there as well. Now, one thing that I do is I'm going to take a little bit of tape. I forgot to do this in the beginning, but I will tape off the letters on either side of the letter that I actually want to stencil. And that's going to stop any bleed through or anything like me stenciling part of the design I don't want to have show up on my surface there. So I'm having this say ho, ho, ho. I thought that would be really cute. It was the exact number of letters to do that. I was wanting to do something that said Santa, but then I thought, well, that's too many letters. And then ho, ho, ho popped into my head, and I thought that would be really cute. Now, on the back of this sign, it does say cherry. But that's okay because I thought with the night before Christmas that it talks about his nose looking like a cherry. So if you saw it from either side, it would be okay. And my tiered tray that I use this for, when I use it on the cherry side, you don't see the back of it because it's a little bench. So I felt like it worked okay. But obviously, I mean, they sell these at Hobby Lobby. They're in the tiered tray section, so you can get them and customize them to your own needs if you want and leave the one side the way it came from the store. However you want to do it. It would even be really easy to make with using some of the jumbo craft sticks with some tumbling tower blocks. So I may have to do that in one of my videos because I think you could replicate this pretty easy for fairly inexpensive also. But I mean, really, it was only a couple of dollars anyway. Now I'm holding this upside down when I do these stencils because I felt like that is much easier when I'm lining those letters up and everything rather than having to deal with the bulky base to it. So I felt like it was easier to have that at the top. Now when I stencil letters like these, I'm using a stencil brush from Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of 3. I take them and I will cut off the bristles to be flat for my stencil. So, and that way you get really good coverage. But look at how cute this turns out. I think this looks absolutely darling. It's going to be so cute on my tier tray. I cannot wait to show you guys this.
I think that all of these pieces are so cute displayed together. What a darling little tiered tray. And it really does just kind of bring the feeling of Christmas in without completely like screaming Christmas. What do you guys think about these tiered tray decor items? Do you like them?
This DIY was inspired by an ornament that I saw at one of the local craft stores. It was this cute little snowman, and I thought it would be perfect to use these Dollar Tree cubes on. So I just take 3 of those, and then using some wood glue and some hot glue, I just clamp them together just to kind of get that really good hold on these. And I kind of make them a little bit askew. That's how the ornament I saw was, and I thought that was really super cute to kind of give definition. I had these little pieces of scrap wood that I'm just going to cut down to make a little hat out of, but you could easily do this out of anything else that you have, or even another sign or some of the wood pieces you get from Dollar Tree. It was just a couple little pieces that I had. And then I had a little bag of these stars that I recently got. I bought a big bag of a bunch of wood pieces at a garage sale, or a yard sale, and so I'm just using the heck out of all of that stuff. So I'll just color the hat, or paint, not color. We're gonna paint the hat black, and then as you saw
earlier, I did paint my snowman in whatever color of white that you have or you want to use. And then I am painting these little stars white as well. And then I'm just taking another one of these stars and I just kind of cut one of the little points off of them to paint orange for my little carrot nose. But whatever you'd like to use to do that would work fine. I also sanded the edges to kind of give it a very distressed look. And then I'm going to go around with some antiquing wax on all of the edges. And then I'll just kind of brush that on and then lightly wipe it off with the baby wipe just to give a little bit of a stained look and just a little bit more definition. I do the same thing with the hat, just go around the edge with a little bit of antiquing wax on my brush and then just wipe it off. Just again, it just kind of makes the wood look a little bit, I mean, honestly, it looks like toasted marshmallow to me with the snowman with the white and a little bit of stain on there. But anyhow, so I will take the little stars. I'm going to use those as buttons for my little snowman and I'm just going to kind of sand the edges down. And then just using a little bit of hot glue, I just stick one right there on his little tummy and then I go ahead and put the other one on the next little block there for his little tummy there. So cute. It's kind of starting to come together. What do you guys think? I don't know. I was really skeptical about how this would look, but I absolutely love it. So I just decide which side I want the hat to go on. And so I will just glue this on top of his head, again, just using hot glue. And then I will glue the top portion of his top hat on there. And then just kind of center it as best you can. I don't really measure a lot with it when it comes to centering things. I kind of really like that skewed look. And then his little nose, just a little bit of hot glue. And honestly, you could stop right here and just leave this guy like this. He looks absolutely darling without a face painted on, but I thought I would try and paint a face. And you guys hear me talk about all the time that I never freehand anything, and you may see why here in just a minute. You'll have to let me know how I did. But I put some little eyes on there, just dipping the end of my paintbrush into my paint, and then I do kind of make them a little bit bigger because I want him to have a bit more fuller eyes. And so I kind of I'll go back in and put a little bit more. You can use a dotting tool to do this too, but the end of your paintbrush works just fine. So there's his eyes. So far we're good, but here's the smile. So I do the first little part of my smile, and honestly, it would have been cute if I had just left it like that, but I thought, oh, I'll make it a full curved smile. And again, guys, I am not a painter. I don't freehand a lot. Well, I don't detail paint, but his smile ends up looking okay, I feel like, but it is definitely just kind of a little bit ski-wampus. But it's definitely cute and definitely homemade, and I absolutely love it. So I just put a little bit of those little dimple type defining features on the end of his smile there, and I think the face turns out pretty okay. You'll have to let me know what you think. But I take a little bit of Dollar Tree ribbon and I cut it down because I didn't have any of the exact size to fit onto his thing, and I wanted to add a little bit of evergreen into his little hat there. So I just glue each of the ends of the ribbon down here. This is pretty self-explanatory, just using some hot glue and wrapping that around, and you just cut it to size. You could even make like a little scarf for him if you wanted to, if you'd rather not decorate the top hat, or you could do both. And then I will just glue on my little evergreen there and just add some little berries to it. I think this turns out super, super cute. I just take a gold acrylic paint marker and just touch up where the styrofoam shows through. That's just a hack for you guys. If you ever have the styrofoam peeking through on your berries, just take the same color marker and touch it up. But what do you guys think of him? I think he turned out so cute. I am absolutely in love with him. And he was so easy to do. I picked this cutting board up at my local thrift store, and I knew that I wanted to craft with it. I didn't really want to use it for food purposes just because I didn't know the history of buying a used cutting board at a thrift store. So I definitely knew I was going to make this into just a decor piece. So after I cleaned it up, I got some antiquing wax and I stained this a little bit of a darker color. I kind of wanted there to be a little more warmth to it and kind of clean it up in the color that was on there. So that way it kind of looked a little dingy, to be honest. And so you definitely could add a coat of paint to this, but I really felt like bringing those warm, Christmassy winter tones in. I thought the antiquing wax would do the best job to do that. So I just go around all of the edges. I'm just using a baby wipe to do this process. I feel like you have a little bit of moisture in that baby wipe that you can go ahead and get the really good coverage that you need and not have to use a lot. Now I'm smacking the heck out of it right there, or as Bob Ross says, beat the devil out of it. I'm doing that with my pliers here to give it a little bit of a more worn look. I wanted some really deep like pock marks in it, so that way this antique wax would soak down into each of those little imperfections and make it just look aged, make it have a history, stuff like that. Now I have this little gingham ribbon and it did fray very easily on the edge, so that's why you saw me there with my aim of flame. I just kind of seared the edges there so that way I wouldn't have any fraying. Now I'm taking the ribbon around and gluing it in what becomes the back of my cutting board here, and I'm lining it up the best that I can, so that way it just looks nice and clean. And I really loved this red and white gingham ribbon on here. I thought this looked really cute and just kind of a typical country home look was what I was going for here. So I decided just to tie a little bit of a ribbon at the top because I thought even though that ribbon was on the base there, I felt like I would bring it into the top there and kind of have a little cohesive look. I thought that looked really cute. And I just tied a cute little bow on there and then just dovetailed it. But I did sear those edges again because this ribbon frays really bad. And so I just didn't want to have that, especially if you're going to sell at crafts and things like that. You want to make sure that you make it so it lasts for who you're selling it to. Now I thought it would be cute to add some little greenery up at the top here, so I'm just gluing a little bit of greenery in there. Just embellish it however you want. I thought it looked really cute to have these berries and everything in there. It really brings those Christmas tones into it, really drives home that home touch. I felt like I really thought it looked cute with that coming out of that bow there. You'll have to let me know what you think on there. Now, as far as the main part of the cutting board here, I needed something, you could definitely leave it like this, and it's absolutely beautiful and just simple. I am still loving the red truck look, and so I have this darling red truck that came off of a banner, and I just glued that on the front. I thought that looked so cute, and I added just a teeny tiny little bow to that tree because yes, I love bows and I love to add them to everything, so completely optional. But you can definitely make this your own with any ornaments that you might have. A snowflake would be darling on there. Again, you could just leave it plain and simple, however you like to embellish it for yourself. Hopefully this is just getting those creative juices flowing, giving you some fun ideas to do with an old cutting board. And then I just tied that little twine on the top there. I think this turns out so beautiful and perfect for Christmas. I found this cute little teal barn star. It's kind of got that tin and then a wood frame. I found it at a yard sale and it was a really cute color, and I actually had anticipated maybe using it the color that it was. However, as it sat and stared at me from my stash over the last few months, I kind of thought I would save it for a project for Christmas, and I am so happy with how this turns out, and it will definitely get used from year to year for Christmas. But I'm just using some crimson chalk paint to cover it completely in Waverly's chalk paint, and then this metallic paint right here. Since this is tin and it did have that turquoise underneath, I didn't want to sand it to expose the tin because I was afraid the turquoise would show through. So I am just taking this, and on the high points of that tin, I'm just kind of distressing it to look like it's kind of weathered and worn. Now I am taking two picks that I have that you can use, just evergreen picks that you have in your stash from Dollar Tree, the craft store, anywhere. And I will wrap these two together to make them look like a wreath. And then once I flip them over, I will just use some floral wire and just kind of wire some of the stems together to the back. You could also use zip ties would work. I had several people mention that to me when making one of my wreaths, and I have used that hack and it is definitely wonderful. But you'll just go around and give this just that circular wreath shape, and anywhere you feel that you need to connect it together, you'll just do that. And after I've kind of fluffed it up and everything, I have this cute little ornament. Now, I don't remember if this came from Dollar Tree or Dollar General, but it came from one of the places. It just says believe in some really sparkly writing, and I just loved it. So we're going to use that with our wreath. So I just used some hot glue and I pressed down these evergreen, I guess they're picks, but now it's a wreath, so I guess I could technically call it a wreath. But I'll just glue some hot glue onto the back of this plenty so it makes sure that it connects really well. And then I'll just press that down and hold that into place there. I just love that with the Christmas star and the word believe. I just think that that believe pops so cute on there. And you could embellish this any way you want with any types of ribbon or anything. In my house, we do use both the black and white and red and black buffalo plaid. So the bow that was on there actually was really cute. And so I just left it, but you could obviously change it to do whatever you would like, or use a different ornament that you might have. There's tons of ornaments out there that are so cute that would look so fantastic on something like this. And I feel like a lot of us probably have one or two of these little stars kicking around that we've used because they were so popular for such a long time. And I feel like they're still really relevant, especially in your Christmas decor. But I'm just taking a little package of these little berries from Dollar Tree, and I'm just sticking them in all the way around with a little bit of hot glue so they stay. And I just go around the whole thing doing that, just kind of to what looks pleasing to my eye. I think this is going to look so cute, either propped up somewhere like on a shelf or something. It even has a little hanger on the back, or if yours doesn't have a hanger, you could affix one to the back and hang it somewhere. It is so cute. It would be cute on a front door. I absolutely love how this one turned out. What do you guys think of this? Do you guys like these stars? I found these cute little jars at Dollar Tree, and I feel like they always have some type of little jar like this. They may differ a little bit, but these had this cute little space where you could put some, like a little tag or something. So in order to get paint to stick to glass, I'm just going to put a little bit of Mod Podge down in that area and let that dry. And that way when I'm going to put a little bit of chalkboard paint on these, that way it will adhere to the glass and it won't just immediately scratch off. So I'm just going to do that on all three of these in that little area. Now I just take some chalkboard paint. I'm just using chalkboard paint from Dollar Tree, and I am just going to carefully brush that into this little area. You'll have to do at least 2 coats on here, possibly 3, just depends on how thin you're doing your coats. The thinner the better, I have learned with this, but I just take my time. I have a little bit of an angled brush that I can go in and get that curve as best I can. And the nice thing is where you have not put your Mod Podge, you would be able to go in with kind of like your finger or fingernail and kind of scratch off. So if you do go out of the lines, it's not a huge worry. But on all 3 of these, I just put this little bit of chalkboard paint down. Now you easily could write with chalk, like a chalk marker or something, to customize it that way. Of course, we know that I don't freehand anything, so I do just make a couple decals with my Cricut. I have one that says reindeer treats, one that says Santa snacks, and another that says Grinch goodies, and I thought those were just super cute. And then I am just taking 2 different kinds of twine here. This is baker's twine in red and green, and just tying around the top. And look at how simple and easy and how cute those are. I would love to know what kind of treats you would put inside of each of your little jars if you were to make these. You guys know that I am a big fan of checking out your wedding section at your craft store. I found this darling sign there that somebody would probably just overlook, thinking, oh, I don't need a sign that says sign our guest book. And maybe you've had a wedding and you have something like this sitting around, and you can totally make it be something that you can use for your decor. So I just take it outside and I sand off that design because I don't need anybody to sign my guest book. And I just sand it with my electric sander. And I'm going to go over the top of it with just a light brushing of just some chalk paint. I go really light at first. I do get a little bit heavier than this, but I just take my time going slowly so I don't overdo it. But I do want a very rustic look to this sign, but I wanted it to be a little bit brighter than what that background left. I am a big fan of finding different ways to make signs, and I'm going to show you guys how to print on tissue paper today. I am a big fan of this. So I'm just taking a piece of paper and a piece of tissue paper, and I am printing it where you'll have a shiny side of the tissue paper and kind of a dull side. And you want, at least I like to print on the dull side. So I print it or tape it with the shiny side towards the paper so the ink will not slip on that shine, that it will have something on that little matte dull side to adhere to. Now this is the first time I've tried printing on an entire page like this. I'll usually just tape a little section onto the front of my paper, but I want my sign to be the whole size of my paper. So I am just taping all of the edges down. So as you saw,
I put my piece of paper down and I'm just folding all of the edges over. That way I have the entire surface area of the front of the paper for my design to print on. Now I make sure that all of my edges are completely taped down, and so I just go over them. You can see how that looks here. And then I have got this entire front surface here, and I just feed this through my printer like a normal piece of paper. So you obviously want this side right here up for your design to print on, and you can see how big the design looks and how good it looks. I purchased this design from one of my favorite graphic shops on Etsy. I'll leave the link down in the description box. They have different designs for all sorts of seasons, and they're absolutely beautiful. So now I'm just carefully removing the tissue paper. It doesn't matter if the back of this tissue paper rips at all because we're going to cut the excess off, but I obviously don't want to go just, willy-nilly and pull this off really quickly and have it end up ripping the front of the design. And also make sure that you give a fair amount of drying time to your design. I waited about an hour after I'd printed this. I was just busy doing some other DIYs, letting this dry completely. And you can kind of see how the ink goes through the tissue paper onto that normal piece of paper. So you just want to make sure to give it a little bit of drying time so that way you don't have any problems with the ink smearing or anything. So now I'm just cutting off the excess of tissue paper all around this sign so it will fit onto the top of our surface. So I just take some Mod Podge and place that down. Now you can use glossy, you can use luster, satin, whatever type of Mod Podge you have is going to be just fine. And I just lay the tissue paper down, and then I sped this up a little bit, but I do just gently rub with my finger to kind of get as many of the bubbles and wrinkles out. Now it's tissue paper and a liquid, so you are going to get a little bit of the wrinkles, and that's totally fine, especially with the rustic look. And but you can see here, if it gets too bad, I can just kind of pull it up gently, and I can kind of reassess and adjust things if I need to kind of keep rubbing that design down to get it completely adhered to the surface. Now, if your sign has these grooves like my sign has, I'm just taking a paintbrush with a little bit of water on it, and I'm going over the top of this. This goes right through the tissue paper. I get it wet first, and then I will go back over it to kind of make those indentations in the design so it looks like this is actually part of the wood. You want to make sure to go over and seal everything in with another layer of Mod Podge. This is just going to seal in the ink. It's going to give it a little bit of waterproofness. If water was to get splashed on it or anything, you wouldn't have any problems with that ink bleeding or anything like that. Then to help the top and the bottom of the sign where I have the excess blend in, I'm just dry brushing a little bit of antiquing wax onto there. It glides on very smoothly with that layer of Mod Podge there. And then I pay attention to the edges, and so it looks like that sign blends completely in. And then I go over the tissue paper with a little bit of the white paint that I had that I painted the sign with, just a dry brush, just to kind of give it a little bit of an aged look. So now I felt like this sign, you could leave it the way that it is, but I felt like it needed a little bit of embellishment. So I'm just tying just a normal shoestring bow out of this buffalo check ribbon that I have, and just kind of making my loops down to size of how big I want the bow. And then we're going to add some greenery and things to this. I'm just taking some leftover greenery and some little red berries from other picks that I have cut down, and I just tie a couple together, and I'm going to use some hot glue to glue the berries in each side there because the stems weren't long enough to tie together like the greenery was. And then I'm just going to, you can see, just glue those right in there, and then I will glue this to the top of the sign here. And I do that just using a little bit of hot glue, and then you just want to make sure to hold that in place until that completely dries. And then the same thing, just glue that bow onto the front. And then I just dovetail the ends of my bow. You can cut them at an angle, do however you like to do the ends of your bows. I did leave my tails longer so it would kind of drape down the sign. So you can see I'm just using a little bit of hot glue there. That's just going to help my tails kind of hang and droop the way that I want them to. And then I just kind of do a little bit of fluffing on the bow and everything there. And look at how absolutely darling this is. I think this is beautiful. This would be such an easy project to make and sell if you had a booth. I just think this is so cute, and I'm so excited to get to decorate with it. I found these 3 nesting Christmas trees at my thrift store. It was $3 for the set. I absolutely love them. I think they're so cute the way they are, but I thought I would kind of spruce them up a little bit to match my decor. I wanted to brighten them up with some white paint, and so I was just going to dry brush this on and kind of see how it looked. And that first little area, I got very heavy with the paint and was like, oh, whoops, I guess that spot's gonna go in the back, but I'll show you how I fix it here in just a second. But this is just like grapevine that's wrapped around this along with some burlap mesh. So the mesh does absorb the paint really well, and so I just kind of had to be careful that I was not using a whole ton of paint. So I just take a little baby wipe and dab it into that mesh, and it picks up a lot of that paint. So it it really ended up just kind of blending in. So I'm happy that I was able to fix that. So a little bit of a tip for you there. But I just go over all of these trees and I cover them with white paint. I had originally wanted to spray paint these. However, it was way too cold at my house to spray paint them. And I honestly think that might have been a little bit too heavy for what I wanted. I might not have gotten the same effect. So I'm actually really happy. But I just take all 3 of these and just go around all of them with this white paint, dry brushing it on completely. This is one of those projects that you could easily customize with any type of ribbon. You could put glitter, anything like that. I really just like the simplicity of the white. I just thought it looked really cute, and I thought that this is something that you could jazz up for Christmas time and then kind of have it be more simple for winter time. I hope this just shows you how a little bit of paint can completely transform something and how easy. I think this took me like 20 minutes to do, so very quick, and look at how pretty they turned out. I decided to add some cute little fairy lights to these trees, and I really feel like that made such a difference. These are so elegant and beautiful. What do you guys think of these cute little trees?
I picked this sign up at a garage sale, and you can see that it came originally from Hobby Lobby, but you can see that they've written some writing on there preschool from a little while ago that writing would not come off of there. I'm sure it was probably something that just sat on there long enough. And so I decided to repaint over this. Now I'm just using some of Dollar Tree's chalkboard paint, but you could easily do any kind of black paint just to get the coverage that you would need. And it only took 1 coat of this to cover up that writing, but I just kind of carefully go around all of the edges, and you can kind of see I'm just drying it with my heat gun and how well it turns out there that you cannot see any of that writing or anything like that. And I just love this heat gun, by the way. I have it linked down in my description box, but you guys, it's such a game changer when you're crafting. Now I have this little nativity scene that came from Dollar Tree. It's kind of a 3-dimensional scene that you can stack. It comes with the little wise men as well, but I'm just going to use the Mary, Joseph, baby Jesus, and the stable here. And I am painting the little figures white so they pop against that black of the chalkboard. And I thought when I was doing this that I would stain the barn structure a wood color because that was probably, I just felt like that matched a little bit better in my mind with how it should look. But originally I was going to do everything white to kind of pop against that black, but I thought it would be kind of more fun to have that on there. Now I'm just using some of my Elmer school glue to glue this on. I did this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I just absolutely love this glue, and it will hold very well for what I need it to, because these wood pieces are very thin and it's got a flat surface, so the bond actually will be really good. But it is something that if I did want to remove them later, I could just stick like a little putty knife behind them to peel them off there, and I could use this again to make another sign for a different season or do something different if I wanted to. And as like with super glue or something, you wouldn't be able to do that. And if you were to use hot glue, I don't feel like they would kind of pop out a little bit more. It wouldn't be as flat as you want them to. So now I just thought at the bottom of this, it would be really cute to add a little bit of mistletoe, some greenery. I really love like the little red berries on here, and then just this cute little bow that I tied there. I just think this is so simple and elegant, and I love any way that I can incorporate a nativity into my Christmas decor, because I feel like that just brings the true meaning and the true heart of Christmas into your home. I would love to know what your thoughts are on this one. I am very, very pleased with it. I've been seeing these little truck planters at different places. This little red truck came from Hobby Lobby. It's absolutely darling. This one was from their spring line, but I've seen them actually with every season this year. So hopefully you can find one. I think I've seen them at Target as well. But I have these little teeny trees. These just came from Dollar Tree, and I just picked out 3 different sizes. These little trees are found in Dollar Tree's little village section. So if you're looking for some, check there, and hopefully you can find some. And I'm just kind of placing them all together. I thought it would be so cute to have these like tied up in the back of this little red truck like it had just been to chop down its Christmas trees. So just using a little bit of glue, I glued all 3 of those trees together, and then I'm just taking some twine here, and I'm just tying it around like it's a rope tied around these trees. I thought that would be really cute to have it look like these were all tied together. And then I'm just going to kind of bend this top tree. You can kind of see when I stick it in, I want to bend it over so it fits over the hood or the roof, I guess, of the car there. So it just kind of naturally sits there. And then I'm just putting a bunch of glue on the base there, and I'm just going to stick this right in. and then just hold that until it dries and it has a good firm hold, and then just bend over the tip of that tray as I need. And look at how darling this looks. I mean, just to set either on a tiered tray or just a little shelf sitter, I think this is darling, and it definitely brings in that farmhouse Christmas vibe.
I saw these cute little glass votive jars at Dollar Tree earlier last year, and so I picked up a couple of them. And so I have one, and since I'm going kind of with a blue theme, I thought this would be perfect. And I also have these snowflakes that are from Hobby Lobby. I got them at 50% off, and you may already have some snowflake ornaments that you use. Even like the little foam snowflake scatter that you get at Dollar Tree, you could do this with. So whatever you can find to work, this is just giving you some inspiration. These were tin, and so I was able just to take a little barbecue skewer and just kind of slide it up in there. So that way, I'm going to make a little floral arrangement, but that way they would just kind of stand up in there. Again, if you find the little foam snowflakes, you could just stick that skewer right into those and do that with it. Or the wooden snowflakes from Dollar Tree, you could easily glue onto the skewers. Whatever you have that you could use would work just fine. Now I am just taking some pieces of florals that I have left over from other projects I did throughout the season. So just it's a good way to use some of your little bit of like pine evergreen florals that maybe you had one or two sprigs left over from Christmas. And so I'm just cutting those down what I've got and making them the size that I want them. I also used a little bit of eucalyptus in there because it has that really like silvery color, and I thought that was really appropriate for wintertime. And then I also have this little silver eucalyptus here from Dollar Tree that is very sparkly and glittery, and I thought that was fun. It just added a little bit of shimmer to the arrangement. Use whatever you have. I mean, I'm sure if you've done any crafting through the holiday season, you may have like a piece here or there, or now, to hang on to them, because there's always something you can find to do to stick a little sprig of something somewhere. And then I just stick those snowflakes in there. I don't show it, but I do end up tying a little twine bow around the lip of the jar, the ring of the jar, just to kind of add a little bit of softness to it. But it does have that little handle on it. And you could do this with any jar, any vase that you have. I just did the blue since that's what I had on hand. But I think this turns out so cute. It's going to be just kind of a cute little wintry look, just set on a shelf, and it's just going to add that softness with the greenery. I love how this turned out.
I love using pizza pans from Dollar Tree to make signs out of, and they always turn out so cute. So I've decided to do one with my snowman theme, and I found the cutest little SVG off of Etsy. I'll leave the link to it down in my description box that I thought fit perfectly. Now, my trick to painting on pizza pans, I always get asked tons of questions about this, of how I get it to work, and there's a few different ways. So the first thing I do is, the first thing I would recommend is sand it a little bit with your sandpaper so your Mod Podge and your paint has something to adhere to. So I am just using Mod Podge here, and I do one thin coat. I let that dry completely. I walk away from it for like an hour, let it dry, come back, and then put another little coat on it. You want them to dry completely because this is what your paint is going to stick to. And just two small thin coats, and that makes sure you get the coverage that you want. That's at least how I do it. After that second layer has completely dried, you can do one of two things. You can spray paint, which I do recommend. However, I got snow where I lived this week, so I had to chalk paint, and I'm just doing thin layers. So you can just see this is my first layer here, and then I go back in with my second layer. If you choose to do this way or have to do it with your chalk paint, it's going to take you about 7 or 8 layers or coats of paint. This is 8 coats that I did of just thin layers. Now, I did get this little decal off of Etsy. I did use my cutting machine to cut it out. A lot of times you'll be able to find some people who sell circular that fit, actually, because these Dollar Tree pizza pan signs are so popular. You'll be able to find sellers that will sell the actual decals that they've cut out that they'll ship to you. I do have tutorials on how to print on tissue paper if you don't have a cutting machine. So there are several options that you can use. And so this is how I like to peel back when I do my transfer papers. I like to peel backwards like this. I feel like I have a little bit more success with that. Sometimes if you guys have worked with transfer paper, you all know that it's not all created equal and it does not always work like you want it to. So now I am just lining this up as best as I can. I'm not one that measures a whole lot, but I do kind of look at those circles on the top and the bottom and just kind of gauge where they are with the sign. Now when I'm pulling this back, I'm just being very careful. You can kind of see there was one little area there that the paint did start to come up. I just pushed it down and rubbed it down, and that paint went right back down. And then I just am very gentle as I pull this off. If there's ever an area that does pull a little bit of the paint off, you just go back in and touch it up after. You just have to be very delicate doing this process. Now, one thing that I love to do with vinyl is it kind of has a shiny feel, a lot of it. Even if you use the matte, I still do this, is I go in with a dry brush and brush over all of the vinyl. I think that gives it a nice little aged look, a weathered look, and it kind of dulls down the sheen that comes from the vinyl that you're using, and I feel like it just makes it look more stenciled, and I just really like how the look of that is. I think this sign is absolutely timeless. I think it turned out so beautiful. Honestly, I mean, Frosty and Snowman are always going to be relevant when it comes to decorating for winter and Christmas time. I mean, seriously, think about it. Snowmen are never going out of style. When it comes to Christmas decorating, they're always going to be around. And so I really feel that this sign is just elegant and timeless. When I saw this canvas sign on Kirkland's website, I absolutely fell in love with it. But check out that price. I think we can definitely do better than that. I found this Merry Christmas sign at Hobby Lobby. I have seen similar ones at Dollar Tree that are a little bit thinner, so keep that in mind. But all of the Christmas stuff at Hobby Lobby is 40% off, so that definitely makes it a good deal. And I love the three-dimensional look that the thicker sign gives. So I'm using these two longer signs from Dollar Tree, and I am just removing the design off the back of them. Honestly, I'm not sure why I did this, because I did end up covering it with craft paper. Obviously, my elf sign, I wanted to remove like the ridges of his little hat there. But this other sign, I take the little heart off because, of course, as any DIYer knows, you're going to totally repurpose that. But I don't know why I go through and tear off all of the little pieces of this home sign, but I do anyway. So, and it actually peels off rather easy, but again, I do end up covering it with craft paper, so it's not necessary to do that. These little hanging ribbons, twine, and tags on the back there, I just go through and remove, and then I'm using some needle nose pliers, and I'm just using the corner of my little scraper tool there. That way, my putty knife, I guess it's called, but that way it kind of lifts it up so I can go in with my needle nose pliers to get those out, because they're in there pretty good. So to get these two signs to stick together, I'm lining them up with what edges fit the best, and then just putting a bead of hot glue. And then I am using jumbo craft sticks. You get these at Walmart. And I didn't realize there when I did it, I need to leave a space in the middle because I'm going to put another one up the middle to give it a little bit of support there. And then this is where you would get your craft paper, and you would just hot glue some craft paper onto the back of it. On the front side of it, I cover it completely with white chalk paint. You could spray paint it. You can paint it with chalk paint, acrylic paint, house paint, whatever kind of paint you want. I am taking some like washi tape is what this, I guess, is called, from Dollar Tree. And guys, I had no idea if this would work or not, or if all of my lines would bleed together. So this was a totally new thing for me, but I am stenciling these stripes on. Essentially, all I did was just look at the original piece and come up with some spacing that I wanted for my lines. So it has the larger stripe down the middle and then two smaller stripes on the side. So that is how I placed my tape. To stencil, you just want to use a very minimal amount of paint on your sponge brush. So I am just dabbing up and down the seams, like you can kind of see exactly what I'm doing there, right along the tape. That is going to seal it. You just want to go straight up and down, not use like a swiping motion. That is going to make sure that it seals those lines to stop any bleed through. Now, as you can see, I did get a little bit of paint on the actual sign, so I took a wet Q-tip and I was able to get the paint off from that way. Obviously, if that hadn't have worked, I could just go back in with some white and cover it up that way too, but it worked really well with the wet Q-tip. You're going to do the exact same process on the other side to make the stripes on the other side of the sign, so that is what I'm doing here.
Here is where we find out if this Dollar Tree washi tape works to do stenciling, and I was very impressed. I thought it worked very well. Look at how crisp and clean those lines came out. So definitely keep your eye open. That tape is in the Crafter's Square at Dollar Tree. I will definitely be buying some more of this. Look at how nice those lines look. So on this Merry Christmas sign, I'm just going to cut the little twine hanging piece off there because we're obviously not going to need that. And I just paint this completely with red paint. Use your choice of red paint. I'm just using Waverly's Crimson color. Using hot glue, I just go ahead and center the Merry Christmas in the middle of the sign. If there's any glue that comes out or anything, I just use my weeding tool to clean that up. Here is a look at the original version, our inspiration piece that was $90. What do you guys think? Do you think I came close on this one? I personally absolutely love this. I'm excited to use it. And I would say that easily less than like $6 or $7. I was so surprised and so excited when I found this sled at my local thrift store for just $2. I knew that I just had to have it, and there were so many possibilities, and I truly love how this turns out. So I am just taking a wipe and making sure that I wipe everything down, making sure that it's completely clean. And then on these flat surface boards here, I am just going to give them a couple coats of white paint. You can use whatever color you would like and whatever type of paint you would like. What we're going to do is a reverse stencil on the top of this with some snowflakes. Now I only did these 3 boards in the white because those were the only areas that my stencil was going to go. However, once I go to distress this, I had wished that I had done the crossbar in some white paint. I do have a solution for that, but I'm just letting you know ahead of time that I wish I had painted that. That way when I distressed it, that white would peek through. I did use a cutting machine to cut out a couple of snowflakes, but fear not, if you do not have a cutting machine, you can just cut some snowflakes out of cardstock. You can even use like those jelly window clings that you get at Dollar Tree and place down anything to cover the white area with whatever pattern you would like, and then you'll spray paint over it or paint, and that way it will create the reverse stencil. I do take this outside to my little box spray paint studio, whatever you'd like to call it, and I just give this a really good coat. I just have to go over it once with some matte black spray paint. Now, of course, you can customize this to be whatever colors you would like. I am trying to make this more wintry than Christmassy because I do want to leave this up all the way through February if possible. So I'm just making sure that that area all over where those snowflake stencils are completely gets covered. And then after that first top layer dries, I'm going to lift it up and paint the bottom of it. I want to make sure that the complete rest of the area on this sleigh is painted black. So you can do this by hand and not have to do spray paint if you would like. That is completely optional. The next step is to bring it inside, let it dry before you bring it inside. But then we're going to take the stencil off, our little snowflake, to reveal our reverse stencil. So just so you know, when you do this, that spray paint holds down whatever you've used there pretty good if it's got an adhesive on the back. So it will take you just a minute to kind of peel that off, but just be delicate and go slow so you're not going to chip or remove any of your paint. So after I remove my stencils there, I am just taking an emery board. You can use whatever sandpaper or finger sander that you have or that you like, and I am just going over this to give it a very rustic look. What happens is it takes the little bit of layer of the black paint and it makes that white paint come shine through there, and I love how that looks. And this is where I said I had wished that I had done the crossbar in the paint so that way the white paint would show through on that. But I do just take a little, and by little I mean the littlest amount of white paint on a chip brush and kind of very lightly dry brush, so it does look like it has a little bit of white there as well. And then I very lightly wipe this down with just like a baby wipe because I don't want to smear the black paint over our snowflakes, but I do want all the dust removed. Now I just take some rope from Dollar Tree and I unravel it and take one of the strands and get some painter's tape on the end of it and make sure it is tight and as small as I can get it, because I'm going to feed it through that little hole that was provided, and then turn it around and flip it through the other side so that creates our little rope tie there. So after deciding how long I want this rope to be, I just flip the sleigh over and I am just tying a knot in either side. I'm just going to trim that rope down so that way I can easily get a knot tied into the little area there. And then what I'm going to do is any excess rope, just cut that as close to the knot as I can, so that way that you're not left with any that's showing. And I'm just using some hot glue to make sure that those knots are not going to fray or come untied. Now to get the kink out of this rope, since it's kind of curly from being wound up in rope, I'm just spraying it with some water, and then I hang it from like a door handle for like an hour or something, and it really straightens that rope out. So the longer you hang it, the straighter it will be. But look how adorable this turns out. I think this is going to be perfect for all winter long. You can even spruce it up for Christmas and then transition it into winter if you would like. I just absolutely love this. I found a graphic of the sheet music for Holly and the Ivy. It's just the first verse on here, so I did print that out after sizing it to the size I wanted it. And now I am just going to tear the edges to kind of give this a very aged look. So when I go to the edge, and this is very sped up, but I did just kind of go back and forth to give it a really weathered and aged look on it. And I do this to all four sides. And then I take this piece of paper and just crumple it up like it's trash. And then we just open it back up. This adds lots of fun little wrinkles and things in there. And I have this little scrapbook, like aging kit for paper. I've seen them at Hobby Lobby. I got this at JoAnns, but it comes with a bunch of different colors, and you can even buy additional colors. And there's lots of different techniques that it kind of explains to you in there on how to age paper and make things look really old and weathered. So I'm just doing kind of a bunch of different techniques here. If you even want to call it a technique, I really just kind of was rubbing the ink and the dye and everything on the paper. You can see how all of those little wrinkles picks up that dye and really does make it look aged. I really am happy with how that came out. Now I found this little sign in kind of like the kids craft section of the Christmas section at Hobby Lobby, and I thought it would be a darling little sign to make over. So I'm just using this for this particular project, but use whatever you have that you want to do a little sign on. So I do just paint the base black and then the edges all black, and on that little finial on the top I go in with some antiquing wax. I really like the contrast of that with the black. I thought it just looked really nice together with the whole theme that I was going with here. And there's also a little wood piece down at the bottom between the sign and the base, and I just stain that with the same antiquing wax to kind of tie it in. Now I paint kind of a little bit over the edge where my sheet music and the scrapbook paper I use will go, so that way a little bit of the black will peek out, but I don't need to do the full center because that's where my paper will be. Hopefully that makes sense. On the back side I did just completely paint it black. You could easily make another sign on the back side of this, so it could be two-sided or even do like chalkboard something on the back. But on the front side of this that I'm doing, I just found this plaid paper out of some Christmas plaids that I had and cut it to be just a little bit less than the size of the sign. So that way you can kind of see that black through there. And I just used some good old purple school glue, just that little glue stick glue to put that down with. And then I do the same thing on the sheet music here and just place that on top of the plaid paper. So I'm going to use these little holly embellishments along with this cute bow that I made. But of course, I must have felt it wasn't important to hit record on my camera while I made the bow. So I'm just showing you that I took the ribbon, made a ring with it, and then pinched it in the middle and then tied that off. And that is how I made this cute little bow. And then I'm just going to use some hot glue to glue it to the top there. And then I had some little tails on it that I thought would be really cute. To kind of glue those to the side so that way they wouldn't fall down over the sheet music. It kind of gives them just a little bit of placement. Hopefully that makes sense. You can kind of see what I'm doing here. So I glue those little holly leaves and berries up just underneath that bow peeking down. Now, as you can see, you can't see the title of the music where it says the holly and the ivy at all. I know it's there, you know it's there, but you could do this with any sheet music that you had. Now I'm taking the second half of this nativity ornament that I have and I just dry brushed it with a little bit of black to make it pop a little bit more against that music, and I just hot glue it onto the front. You would not have to do that step. I actually just, any way that I can add a little bit more Christ into my Christmas decorating, I absolutely love. I am so excited to show you guys this DIY because it is one of my favorites from today. Well, they're all my favorites. I always say that, but I really do love this one and it was so fun to do. So I am just going to do some decoupaging with a napkin. So I found these napkins at Dollar General and I thought this cute little truck on the front and it says home for the holidays. I thought it was so cute. So if it's a couple, like 2-ply, you want to go ahead, you just want to make sure that you're left with one layer. Otherwise your Mod Podge, it's not going to work quite right. Take my advice because I've learned the hard way. And then I do have this back that I found at Hobby Lobby, but you could do whatever sign blank that you had. I just liked the planks in this one and it's what I had in my stash. And so that's why I ended up using this, but easily any type of background that you have, even from Dollar Tree or anywhere, would work fine. So I am just going to cut off this little hanging thing. We're going to replace it, but I wanted to be able to dry brush some paint on this. And I believe I'm using the cashew color in Waverly's chalk paint. I just kind of picked it to match the color of my napkin. And so when I decoupage the napkin on, it will blend in really well. And of course you just do this as thick as you want on there. And then I am just going to place the napkin down, and you probably could just go ahead and decoupage it that way and it would be fine. Mod Podge it, I guess I should say, and it would be just fine. But I am going to kind of cut this little design out. And I had a lot of people on one of the last decoupage projects that I did mention doing a brush with some water, or a water brush, to kind of cut your napkin around the design. So that's what I'm doing. I'm giving that a try. I'm just getting a really fine brush and I'll dip it in the water, and then you just have to remember that the water will bleed just a little bit, and then I will just kind of tear this away from where I am working. So the other was sped up considerably. This is real time right here, so it does take a little bit of time to do this, but honestly I felt like this gave a much better look than just cutting it out with scissors. However, I have done it with scissors and it does look fine, but see how you kind of get those little torn edges there? That just kind of, when you Mod Podge, those just blend in to make it look like it's part of the background. So super cute. And we'll just speed this up a little bit here so you can kind of see. I just go through the whole design, and I do take off the home for the holidays part, so I put that on separately. And on the words, I just get as close to the words as I can without actually cutting into the words. And then I do put some Mod Podge down on my sign, and I don't think I showed that, but I'm showing it here with the words here. But just Mod Podge in the area where these go, and then I just gently lay them down, and then you are gently, gently, gently going to go over the top of them with some Mod Podge. And I was able to kind of pull that up to get it straight, so that way any wrinkles can get out. Now you do not want to use your Mod Podge roller on when you're working with the napkins, because from my experience, it literally just shreds it. It just tears it because it's so fine and so delicate. And so just keep that in mind. I'm just working with the brush, and remember, this is very sped up. I am going slow and I am taking my time, so that way even the brush bristles does not rip the napkin. But you can kind of see it just fades into that background, and how like it looks like it was just made to go on there. Now, right here, I'm just taking, you could even use like a gift card or a Cricut, like I'm just using my Cricut weeding tool to kind of go through and just indent the area of the planks in the sign. That would be completely optional. And again, there's plenty of other things you could use than having to use like a Cricut tool, like a gift card or credit card or something like that would even work really easily. And then I'm just going over the part of the sign that I had not put Mod Podge on, so it all has the same type of finish, if that makes sense. And then I'm just going to feed through some twine and tie that off on each end. And then I finish it off with a little bit of Mod Podge on the end so it doesn't fray and it won't come untied. And if you ever get like wonky jute twine that kind of curls up, or especially when you get to like the middle of your roll, just spray a little bit of water on it and it straightens right out. So I'm showing you I'm taking a little bit of evergreen and I just roll it around with some twine and then just use some hot glue to glue that off. And then I add a little bit of berries and a cute little bow. This is total personal preference. I just thought it looked really cute. But let me know what you guys think. Would you have ever known that this was a napkin on this little sign here? I love giving you guys hacks, and I love this one. This is a little set of ornaments that came from Hobby Lobby. I bought it when the Christmas was 50% off, so it ended up being $5, and there's these 3 darling little wooden truck ornaments in there. Now, all I'm going to do is so simple, is I'm just going to remove that little topper there just by unscrewing it with some pliers there, and you're left with the most darling little truck for tiered tray decor. So simple and so easy. If you were to resell these like at a booth or something, you could separate them up. You could even put a little spackle on the top of them to cover that hole and then just kind of touch up the paint. I'm just painting with some black paint and a little bit of white. I'm making a cute little window on the front because when I had it sitting down, it looked just a little bit bare there. So you can just keep that in mind. Do that if you would like. The ornament section at stores is a great place to look for tiered tray decor or little trinkets like this that you want to have to stick into your decor. They make so many different varieties of Christmas decorations now that you can almost find anything to fit your decor style. So always make sure that you're checking out those Christmas aisles and the ornaments to see if there's anything that fits your decor style that you need. I'm starting to see them pop up in stores already. I was in Hobby Lobby the other day and they are starting to put Christmas out. And so it's a great time to check while the selection is there. I'm curious to know if any of you guys already do that. Shop the ornaments section to find some of your everyday decor items for tiered trays or different things. But I absolutely love this hat. Now I think this little truck turns out cute. I love how that window looks. This is going to be so cute with our little display. It is so simple to make some Christmas greenery to kind of bring that Christmas feel into a little area in your home. So I'm just taking a topiary ball and some little berries that I have just off of a pick that I've used for some other things, and I'm just going to trim those down. Now you can use some hot glue to glue these berries in if you would like, or you can just take a normal everyday little fixture that you have, like a plant or something, a little topiary that you want to just stick these into to kind of bring that Christmas feel into them. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm just kind of bringing those berries into this little topiary. I'm going to use this little galvanized metal tub here that I got from Hobby Lobby to just set it in. It gave the perfect height for what I would like to do with it. After I finish placing all of the berries where I would like them, I'm going to use these cute little ornament tags. These came from Walmart and they do have something similar to this, at least they have the past few years. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to find these exact ones, but they have these cute little farmhouse sayings on them and they're absolutely darling, perfect for what I want to do. So I'm just going to take the ribbon and I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue inside of our little bucket here, and I'm just going to place that there. I will also glue this down on the outside so it doesn't kind of flap around everywhere. Now, I did want to leave the little ribbon on the top of this because I felt like if I took it out, it would kind of leave an arbitrary hole there. This way it looks like it is kind of fixed to the bucket there and it is kind of like a permanent fixture. And we'll just place our topiary ball back on the top there. I think this looks so cute. Now I did notice in some of those berries there was a little bit of the red part, the exterior missing. So I just took some red paint and touched those up. But this is such a simple project to convert a normal everyday piece into something that is Christmassy. It's going to be perfect for the little vignette that I have in mind for it. I found these darling little 3-dimensional trees at Dollar General, but I feel like I've maybe seen them at Dollar Tree before, so keep your eye open. I'm not 100% sure if I'm just dreaming with that, but anyhow, they're very cute. They were $1 for the pack of 3 trees from Dollar General, and I just picked 3 different types of craft paper that I thought would be really cute to add for my trees. So I just trace each of the trees out onto some craft paper, and then after cutting them out, I put some Mod Podge both on the wooden portion of the tree and the craft paper before I adhere one to the other. That's just going to give it a really good bond. And then I will just kind of trim up the edges on the branches. I do use my Mod Podge roller. You guys, I had never realized I needed a Mod Podge roller in my life until I got one. It is the best thing ever. But after I get all of my paper adhered to there, I do use a fingernail file to sand off the edges to make it really crisp and clear. And then I take some antiquing wax also and kind of cover up those edges. And you could leave the edges. This is personal preference right here. I just didn't like the bright white wood color right there. I just thought kind of an aged look would be really cute and kind of maybe look, like the branches part of the tree. I don't know. So I just go through all the edges and do that. And then you just slip these all together and they look so cute when they are done. They are perfect for tiered trays. They are perfect just to kind of tuck into that little area where maybe you need a little bit of Christmas decor, something really easy. And you can customize these to however you want for your decor is the best part. So it was so simple and so easy, and look at how cute they are. They make such an impact, and for not that much time and very inexpensive, you can have something very, very, very cute. I found these truck signs at Dollar Tree, and honestly, they were so cute. I had no idea what to do with them. And I also had this little candy cane lane sign. Now for the candy cane lane sign, any of the Dollar Tree signs that are like this would work. It just happens to be, if you looked at this upside down, it would still be Christmassy. So I thought it would be really cute to kind of make a little planter out of these. So all I'm going to do, now one of the trucks was on clearance, which I didn't know Dollar Tree had a clearance, but if things get broken or things like that, they do kind of mark them down. So the truck that's in the back, it kind of is damaged a little bit, and so I thought it would be perfect to put it kind of behind this other truck. And so I'm just gluing the candy cane lane sign in between, and that is going to become kind of like the planter portion of this little planter box that we're making. And then this one was also on clearance, but honestly there was nothing wrong with this one. Anyhow, I'm just going to measure these up because they're not completely flat on the front. I had to make sure that I glued like on the hubcaps to get that candy cane lane sign on there, and then I'm just matching them up and setting it down so that way the tires will be even, so when it sits, it will sit completely flat. And after I get these glued together, the fun part comes. We get to get all of our picks and florals and embellish it really cute. For the florals that I'm using, they all come from Dollar Tree. They're just these little evergreen picks that they have, and I'm just folding them in half and then just kind of sticking them wherever. I'm not even sure that I use a full package. Anyhow, I take some of the berry picks from Dollar Tree and just pull off the different sprigs of berries, and I just kind of alternate between different florals that I have. You could customize this to look however you want. I also have these cute little icicle branches that came from Dollar Tree that I absolutely love using in all of my stuff, and so I just kind of sporadically put all of these in until I think it looks good. And here's our little red truck planter put together. I think this looks so cute. It is definitely a great addition to my Christmas decor and so easy to do. What do you think of this one? When I first saw this on Kirkland's website, I thought it was a sign. I absolutely loved it. And then I realized it's a placemat, but I thought I'm going to make it into a sign because I absolutely love round signs, especially I have a little spot in my kitchen that I put them, so I especially love them there. So I did cut out, this is all just from Cricut Design Space. So they had this Merry Christmas font that it wasn't even the font. It was actually when you went into images, it was just one of the images there. And I will say that the little teeny circles around the edges did kind of give me a little bit of a run for my money because they are so thin. I feel like if you were going to recreate this, just do one big circle there and save yourself the hassle, because those little teeny ones really they kind of came up. As you can see here, I had to fix a little bit of not only my letters there that I had to fix, but the circle here, like I had to go all the way around these and kind of hand push them in. They're just so delicate. They do look really nice when they're done. They're not as straight as I would have hoped. However, if you're going to recreate this, do a little bit of a bigger line, or if you can freehand, like have this on like a Lazy Susan or something that's turning, and freehand a stripe or a pinstripe or something around it, do that. But it works for what it is, but I'm just giving you a little bit of a warning that that was a little bit of a headache for me. And then just searching the word vine in my Cricut design space, I was able to come up with a couple of designs to put at the top and bottom of this. So I chose this one as a bigger one for the bottom, and then I had this cute little one that I put on the top there. And then to make it match, because it kind of looked a little plain like this in my opinion, and since the other one does have a big red ring around the edge, I went ahead, and this is just a pizza pan from Dollar Tree. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but I'm just painting the rim of that pizza pan. I'm just painting it with my red crimson chalk paint, and it does take 2 coats of this because the red doesn't cover as good with the first coat, so you usually do need to go in and darken it up with that second coat. This is sped up quite a bit, just so you know. I did really take my time on this to make sure that it didn't go over the edge, but you can see, you know, how good it looks and how it makes that pop. And then with my second coat, I just go in and, like I said, I just go and darken that up all the way around, making sure that I get all of the edges around the outside, so that way if you see it from the side, that those are covered up as well. Here is a look at the placemat on Kirkland's website that I decided to make a sign because I thought that's what it was. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I'm really excited to use this in my holiday decor. I think it's really cute. Have you guys had a chance to make a pizza pan sign yet? I actually think they're kind of addicting. They are a lot of fun for very inexpensive. This is just a hot chocolate container that I had. We love hot chocolate at our house in the wintertime. And so this is just, I think, like the Stevens brand hot chocolate container. So that's the size if you're wanting reference. I believe like Swiss Miss and Nestle, like they all probably come in about the same size. So, but any type of canister that you have would easily work for this. I'm just letting you know in case you want to know on size reference. But I started to paint it white, which you could easily do if you don't have this little removable wallpaper from Dollar Tree. So just keep that in mind, that after I painted it white, I remembered that I had this paper and I thought it would be a really cute background on here. So whatever you have, go ahead and do that, what's going to be easiest for you. But this wallpaper fit around perfectly. And this is something new that Dollar Tree's been carrying. I've seen a few DIYers grab some, and I thought it was perfect for this project. And it fits like a glove around this canister. It just meets right up on the other side, and it was the perfect fit. So I thought that would be such a cute little backdrop. For the design that I'm going to put on here, I'm going to take off of one of the farmhouse calendars from Dollar Tree, the December page, which has this farm fresh Christmas trees graphic on here, which is absolutely darling, but I need to make it fit because it kind of would fit if I just put it on, but it was a little bulky. So I'm going to kind of trim it down a little bit. So I'm just kind of going around and seeing as far as for reference, like how I would like the trees to fit, where I want them to sit. I didn't know at this point if I just wanted just the trees on there, if I wanted just the Christmas tree part, how I wanted it to be. But after I kind of played around with it for a minute, I kind of decided I could fit it all on there, and I knew kind of how to do it. I just needed to trim everything down, so that's what I'm going to do next. So just trimming in and out of the branches here, I do kind of like what you would consider, I guess, a bubble cut. So it's not super exact, but it is fairly close to the edges of the tree. And I don't do each individual tree. As you can see here, I kind of go down maybe a third of the way on the next tree and then go up. Because the background on the calendar pretty much matches the background of the wallpaper that I'm using, it's not going to be super noticeable. I don't even think with white paint it would be super noticeable. So you can see I've got the Farm Fresh cut out there, and I'm going to have those trees kind of go up and overlap that there. And then I just cut out the Christmas part here as well as the trees. And on this Christmas, it is very delicate, so I did just kind of go around. And honestly, guys, I've had several people comment to me that I should use some more detail scissors, and I did try. I just feel more comfortable using my big scissors.
I guess the moral of the story is just use what scissors work best for you, and I'll do the same. Anyhow, I'm just using my good old purple school glue stick here to get these to adhere to the back. So I just put that on the back of each of my pieces that I had cut out. And then I just go through and place them of what I decide looks the best and how I kind of had designed it out in my head. After I get all of the pieces glued down, I do just kind of touch up around that silver edge there with a little bit of chalk paint. And then I do go over the design just to kind of make it blend into the wood like it was all like one cohesive piece, if that makes sense. And then this is just a wood round. I bought this at a yard sale. I bought a big bag of these, but you easily can get these. I've seen them at Dollar Tree, but I don't know if they have the 5-inch size. But Hobby Lobby, you can get them, JoAnns, Michael's, anywhere. And then I am just beating the heck out of this with my long nose pliers. You've seen me distress wood on here before. I just really take all your aggression out on it, and I kind of just really rough up those edges and everything like that, and you'll see exactly what happens when I add the stain to this wood. So this is just antiquing wax that I'm using. I do use Waverly's antiquing wax, but any kind that you use would easily work. Even stain would, like if you wanted to use a traditional stain, would work. But I just give it a really good coat, and then I'm taking a baby wipe. And then when you wipe that away, it just looks like an old piece of wood that has been sitting around forever, that's just aged. And I personally love the way that it looks. So again, if it's not your style, then just skip that step. And then I just take one of these finials that I bought in a pack at Hobby Lobby for a couple of dollars. It came with like 5 or 6. I just glue that to the top. And there's the canister. So cute. But you could also use it to put some of your holiday picks in there or something like that. I just think this looks super cute. What do you guys think of this one? For this project, you're just going to need a frame, preferably a little bit of a smaller one because you're going to want to hang it from your tree, and then also 3 of the smaller sized craft sticks. Now I want my finish on these craft sticks to match the finish of my frame. So I took some antiquing wax. You could also take some watered down brown paint and give them a stain, and then I just dry brush some white paint onto them. So now I'm going to remove the back of my frame, and I'm not going to need to put it back in, so I can put that aside to use for another project. And I just take some needle nose pliers to remove all of these little pokey bendy things, so that way nobody's going to hurt themselves on those. So to brighten up my frame, because the paint on my craft sticks was a little bit brighter than this, I really like that brighter color, so I am just dry brushing over the frame to kind of help match it. So now we're making a window frame, so I'm going to use the craft sticks to make the cross beams for my window. So my first stick, I just cut down to match the horizontal crossbeam there and get that kind of centered in the middle. So now I need to make the vertical crossbeam. However, the craft sticks were too short to do one, so I had to do 2. So I had to cut it down to size so that way I could glue 2 of these onto that middle crossbeam. And here's what I mean. So see how that second stick will fit there as well. So you just need to make sure you have enough space to be able to glue both of them on there, and they will sit flush. So I'm just using some hot glue to glue these in as well. Now you can embellish your window any way that you would like. I'm just taking some spare little sprigs of evergreen and some eucalyptus that I have, and I'm just tying them together to make a little swag. And then I also have this cute little cardinal ornament that I've had for so long I don't even know where I got it from. And so it possibly even came from Dollar Tree. I have no idea. But I'm just going to glue that onto the bottom because I thought that was super cute. And I have seen so many on Pinterest like this, like windows. You could even make a big one out of a big frame to make a great big display with. Would be absolutely darling. And you could also put a back in here with a really beautiful wintry picture that would be cute as well. I wanted you to see the lights from my Christmas tree since I'm making an ornament out of this, so I chose to leave mine open. And I did just put a little twine bow at the top of my swag, and now I just tied off some of the twine to make my little hanging element, and I'm just going to use some hot glue to glue that on. And I just looped it around and tied a double knot into the bottom, and then just with some hot glue, and then after it dries I go in and reinforce it. And then looking at my cross beams, I decided to put a little bit of hot glue there to reinforce that also.
Look at how absolutely beautiful and cute this is, and it was so easy. I absolutely love how this turned out. I love these little sleighs from Dollar Tree. I think even if you left it as is, it's absolutely darling. So, but we're going to kind of take it and match our decor today. So it is kind of coming apart in a few places. And so I do take just some hot glue to make sure that it's sturdy and it's all put together, as well as remove that twine from the top. I will be putting some twine back on it, but we're going to take that off to work with it. Now I sand all of the glitter off that I can because it's covered in glitter, and glitter is fine if you're wanting to use it for your decor, but when you're painting over it, you want to get as much removed as you can. And I'm just going to use some white paint just to cover this to give it the base. I want it primarily to be white. Now on this little top part of the sleigh, this crossbar here, it started to peel off. So I just peeled that off and then sanded it down so that it was kind of like a cardboardy type stuff there. And then I just go back over it with some white paint. I do 2 or 3 coats to kind of make it look really smooth. Now on the little rails of the sled, I do just take my time and I go in with a little detail brush and paint them black, so we have the black and white contrast. And I do take my time with this part so that way I don't hit any of the white paint that I've already done. Now you can cut out a deer from a printable online. I used my cutting machine to cut this out, and I had a few people mention to me to use saran wrap over some delicate decoupage areas with my roller, and I didn't have any saran wrap, but I had a Ziploc bag and it actually worked really well. So thank you guys for the tip there. And that just helps that his little antlers are very delicate, so I just didn't want those to rip or anything on there, but I did just apply that using decoupage. And then I cut out these letters because if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know that I very much struggle with hand lettering. Even my handwriting, my whole life I've struggled with it, guys. And so I just used my cutting machine. Use what you have. You could easily use some stickers from Dollar Tree, whatever. I just thought it would be very cute to have it say hello deer with the little deer on there. Now I'm just taking some wooden beads on a skewer stick and I'll paint 4 black and 4 red. And I love this method of painting the beads because if you put some painter's tape between them, you can paint 2 separate colors on the same skewer, and it's easy to kind of move them up and down and get in between. This is a very good hack and I absolutely love it. I thought these would be cute on the little tie that I'm going to do on the top. So I'm just going to take some twine and tie that back onto this first little rail of my sleigh, and then I'm just going to feed these beads on and in every other one pattern there, and then I will just tie it off on that other side. I have this bow that I made for another project that I never used, and so I'm just pulling it out because I thought it would be perfect for this project. It's just some buffalo check ribbon that I just did some like 5 loops on it. So it's got 2 on each side with the 1 in the middle. I'm sorry I don't have any footage of me making this because I made it quite a while ago. And I'm just gluing it onto the side with some hot glue because I thought this sign just kind of needed a little extra fluff or something on it. And so I'm gluing that down. And then what I do with the beads is glue them kind of over on the twine so they stay to the right. So that way you can still see the beads. They don't get lost behind the bow. I think this is such a good alternative to a wreath. I think this would be so cute hanging from a front door. If you do that, make sure you do put decoupage all over it just to protect it all. But I think this turned out absolutely adorable. This DIY would be so easy to recreate with any type of sign blank that you get either at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Dollar Tree, anywhere like that, an old sign that you might have. And you can use basically anything else that you have. I'm using a Christmas ornament in this one, but if there was some other little type of trinket or something, it would be super easy to use with that. But basically, I'm just going to scrape all of the glitter off because we know that Dollar Tree is famous for their glitter that they put all over everything. And then I'm going to give this a really good coat of white chalk paint, and I'm going to go over it. I think it takes about 2 or 3 coats to get this completely covered to make sure that you don't see any of the background. I am going to use a piece of painter's tape as a spacer between to make some stripes on this. So I basically will lay a piece of painter's tape down, another one right underneath that for the spacer, and then my next line, and then I pull up the spacer to leave the negative space that I'm going to go in and paint. So since we are doing Christmas themed, I am going to do some red paint for my stripes. You want to make sure that when you are using any type of stencil or tape like this, that you do clear off your sponge brush. I prefer to use a sponge brush. It's not really a brush at all, so I don't know why I'm calling it that. But my little painting sponge. But you can definitely use a stencil brush that is specifically for stenciling, but you want to just make sure that you seal the edges of the tape or your stencil with dabbing it lightly on those and making sure that there is a little amount of paint. It's better to do less paint and do more coats than go in with a big glob of paint, if that makes sense. So as you can tell, as I'm tearing off the tape here, I love the satisfying feeling of pulling this off and seeing nice, crisp, clean lines. I do want to make this look a little bit weathered and worn, so of course I'm going to distress it because that's what farmhouse is to me. So do whatever you'd like as far as your distressing technique, or none at all would also be fine with this. I mean, it's Christmas, it doesn't have to be distressed, but for it to match with my decor and everything, I am going to distress this. I do sand and pay attention to the corners, and I also go in with a brush and some antiquing wax and go around the edges to give this that farmhouse worn look on the edges. I do have this ornament from Dollar Tree that I am going to go and glue on here. Like I said, any other type of ornament that you have or any other type of trinket that you would like to use to glue on this would totally work. So I am just putting glue along the back of this, hot glue, and then I am just going to firmly place and hold this until it dries, not until it dries completely, but just until it has a firm stick, if that makes sense to you. And then of course, since it's Christmas, I think that I'm going to make this into Rudolph, since I do love the movie Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the song. So I am going to put a little bit of hot glue on a little berry, and I am going to stick that on his nose there to make it look like a Rudolph. And look at how cute he is. I think this turned out so cute. It is so fun. I think this is just that cute little thing either to put like on a tiered tray in your china hutch and a little shelf that you've got, just something to tuck away into a nice little corner that you need to bring a little bit of fun Christmas spirit to. I would like to thank you so much for taking time to watch this compilation mega video. It really means a lot to me. Did your favorite make the list? Did you see something new that you enjoyed? I would love to know down in the comments, either one of those. I always love reading what you guys enjoy seeing. I hope that you have such an amazing day, and I'll see you next time. Happy crafting!
If you like the video that you just saw and you want to keep crafting together, here's another video that you might enjoy. And as always, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.